No one, we were against the gun.
Hi, Rabah. Can you hear us okay?
Responded. We didn't get a chance to do that. And we
Just text them to see.
saying they were unfortunately with one.
Check out that little go-kart.
And we got.
Pretty cool. You see that? I mean, I don't think you should be riding it up here, but.
He was on a second ago, but now he's not.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. He went out to go
He
back.
might have dropped it or moved.
Yeah, yeah. He was definitely on though. I saw him.
Okay, okay.
Oh, I think it's like probably 30 minutes.
I'm not sure.
Sorry.
Legal? Yeah, no, it's cool as hell though. I'll give you that much.
And they have a really aggressive report on the insurance side. So I've asked them for recommendations and I've expressed.
Yeah, I'd like to have it. So here's the whole thing.
We have
Pretend it right past the fire stuff. Yeah, once. I'm not saying he's doing anything wrong either. I'm just saying, I'm pretty sure he doesn't feel he's doing anything wrong.
Hello, Rabah. Can you hear us?
Don't understand.
Yeah.
And you're on mute, by the way, Rabah.
Can you hear me now?
We
Can
can
hear you great. Yep.
Perfect.
All right. If everybody's all set, we can go ahead and get started. I did speak to Michelle a short while ago, just before the meeting. She's running slightly late. She expected to be here by about 5:15. All right, so this is the Eagle Point Community Development District Board meeting. It is Thursday, January the 8th, 2026, and it is 5 p.m. We can start off, we'll call the meeting to order, and we can do a roll call of our supervisors, starting to my right. If you could just state your name for the record.
William Hathaway.
Ron Berkowitz.
Martin Fudali.
Kevin Gagne.
And on
Rabah
our team's
Agabi.
call- Yep, and I'm Andy Mendenhall, District Manager. Yeah, Schwarz. Yep, and as mentioned, District Counsel will be here shortly. We also have a guest speaker here today from the Manatee County Sheriff's Office. I'll let him introduce himself in a moment when we get to that point in the meeting. But we'll go to item number 2, which is statement from the chairman. I didn't know if you had anything today, Kevin?
No.
Okay. And so we'll move into item 3, which is the Manatee County Sheriff's Office. And I'll go ahead, sir, if you can introduce yourself and you have the floor.
Hello, I'm Deputy Justin Warren. I'm the crime prevention deputy for the residences and neighborhoods on the north side of the Manatee River. I was talking to Michelle, and I guess she had some questions and some issues and things that have come up, so I just want to make ourselves available for any questions that you guys might have.
Okay. And I think, as part of this, I know the board has discussed a couple items related to community issues and items. So didn't know, just from a point of perspective, if the board wanted to go over any items, and certainly we can turn to your audience members as well if they have any questions.
So I have 4 general questions, case scenarios, things that happened in very recent time. That raised a lot of questions. That's where the conversation with Michelle started. And that's where, we came to the good fortune of having me willing to come and answer some of those questions. But before I dig into those, I prefer to let the people that came here for that reason maybe have something to say or have had experiences, for them to go first, because some may very well touch on the same incidents that I have here. So I'd rather, first come from them if it does burn.
Okay, that's fair. So we'll go ahead and open it up for audience comments. Just to let you know, we have general audience comments for items related to the agenda, and we also have audience comments towards the end of the meeting, which is more, free form. So if we can, these particular audience comments, if we can keep them related specifically for Mr. Warren, who's here this evening, and if you can try to keep your questions to around 2 or 3 minutes, that way he has ample time to respond and everybody gets a fair chance. And also, since these meetings are transcribed, I just ask if you can state your name for the record, and that way we'll have that as well. So if you'd like, I'll kind of start from the front, move my way backwards. And if you do have a question or comment, if you just kind of raise your hand and I'll go ahead and call on you. So I'll look forward.
I do want to say, though, that Andy and I talked about this. I'm looking for a little more flexibility than normal in this particular session with the officer here, meaning that you don't have to sit here and speak entirely for 3 minutes or everything you want to get off your chest. You can, it's to him and, questions to him or questions with scenarios that have occurred. So feel free to ask him, your question. And if the question just comes out in 10 seconds, and he answers, we have a follow-up, we're just trying to keep someone from, say, talking for half an hour while no one else gets.
I just want to find out, my name is Doreen Brown.
Yep.
We've moved to this community, it's gonna be 2 years, and there seems to be so much violence. These kids running around there, what can we do to stop it? This is supposed to be our problem.
Okay, well, what kind of violence are you speaking about?
Kids fighting, we're trying to drive, kids jumping in front of our vehicle, not moving, taking over the whole road. These electric scooters right now, we're coming in, we're driving 2 miles an hour and this girl zipping back and forth. I mean,
So there are rules that they're supposed to follow with scooters, and that's not a your problem. That is an everywhere problem. I'll just be honest with you. Lakewood Ranch is inundated with it because everybody just got brand new scooters and electric bikes for Christmas, and believe me, they are riding them rampant. That's something that if a deputy saw them doing it, they could obviously address it. They would obviously have to see them. They'd have to be doing something that would be considered reckless. Technically, when bikes are on the road, they're supposed to be following the same rules as the vehicle on the roadway. So if there is a severe traffic issue, one thing that we could always try, and you can feel free to do it, is if you want to, or the more they do it, the merrier, is go to the Manatee County Sheriff's Office website, you go to our traffic unit, and you can submit a complaint there and try to get more traffic enforcement in here during the specified times, so that maybe that'll kind of help out and calm it down. The other thing would be is if we happen to see it, is maybe even just counseling with parents, because that's a huge thing. And I can tell you, each city here, the amount of time that I've sat here, I've seen probably 10 kids ride by on scooters, and I don't know where to helmet. Which, ironically enough, before I came here, I was actually over off Fort Hamer Road and Cross Street for a kid that fell off his scooter. Luckily, he was wearing his helmet, but I had to wait for his mom to come pick him up. So, obviously they're dangerous. They absolutely are, and they need to be following the rules. It's a relatively new issue for us to be dealing with, so our deputies are kind of trying to work to make sure we're staying within what the statute allows us. But yeah, absolutely, it's a problem everywhere right now. Like I said, that would be my best suggestion at the current.
Can I just tag along on that for a second? What about ATVs?
Can you just state your name?
I'm sorry. Jennifer.
Thank you, Jen.
The Dune buggy go-kart, that's pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, so
Probably just
So technically, none of that stuff's supposed to be written on the road. If it's gonna be written on the road and it's not a bike, then the electric bikes are kind of really put a kink in the works because of the way the statutes are written. But they have municipal ordinance for that now. So that's something that we can kind of piggyback on. As far as those things, they're not registered, they're not supposed to be on the roadway. Furthermore, golf carts aren't supposed to be on the road either. I don't think anybody here's violating that, but just let you know, it's technically not a golf course community.
Yeah.
Okay, if my there's a golf course down the road or 20 minutes down the road, it doesn't make it a golf course community.
There are street legal.
There are street legal, but they have to be registered. And not only that, it's actually funny because I had a lady argue this with me one day. And she goes, well, my son's driving a street legal golf cart. We paid, we had it registered, we had all the safety equipment. I said, great, how old's your son? She goes, 14. I said, he's not licensed. You just made it work on yourself. Now he's driving, you have an unlicensed driver driving a registered vehicle. So you have to make sure that you're following the law both ways, but golf carts are another one. Yeah. Anything like that's not supposed to be driven on the road.
I think there aren't the difference. It's like anybody driving a golf cart is an adult in here that I've seen, but
Right.
like the kids on scooters, none of them have helmets on. That kid, I don't know, might come in here, I don't know.
Right.
Very dangerous, illegal dangerous, and just they right out in front of you. The parents that I would say for the most part of the parents that I know, they're not gonna.
Well, let me ask you a question. I mean, do you guys, now that you guys have this, do you guys have like a finding committee or something along those lines? Is that something that you guys would ever be able to discuss with the parents as far as them being in violation of that or having an ordinance there for that? That's it.
So
If the board saw it, they could actually take action.
yeah, the CDD doesn't have those sort of powers. I don't know offhand because I don't
Okay.
specifically deal with the HOA. I don't know if there's certain rules that they might know. Okay.
They only have like a good neighbor rule.
No, they have a nuisance clause in the overall governing documents, and they don't have any final authority, so the way they can do anything is after the second written warning, they can refer to their lawyer, who then follows up in writing and bills them for the cost of that service, the writing, the hours spent, and that is pursuable by me, like non-payment.
Right.
Or at least pursuable in some way. That's the only final mechanism we have.
Okay.
So question, and it's kind of like to bring it all together. What should we do as a community with the sheriff's office when we see this? Like, I'm not saying you're not gonna do anything, but what is the reality and the percentage or anything that you're gonna come drive down here because some kid was riding a scooter without a helmet and was in the middle of the road?
So,
It's kind of like you just have to deal with it.
well, I don't want to say deal with it. That's why I say I would definitely make those complaints to the traffic unit and let them know, because that's specifically what they do. They're there to enforce traffic laws. The other deputies that you might see throughout the day, when you call 911, they're the ones responding to your domestics, to your robberies, to your stolen vehicles, to your vehicle accidents, things of that nature. So what I would say is whenever you call 911, depending on what type of call it is you're calling for, everything's prioritized, because obviously with any agency, with any jurisdiction, at any point in time, there's a finite number of deputies that are on the road, so they have to prioritize. So the greatest likelihood of somebody being hurt and or injured or something along those lines is going to take precedence, and then it just depends on where it falls. By the time we get there, it's check area only, the kids are not here right now. So that's why I say having the traffic unit maybe make a presence here, I think would probably be beneficial.
I have a question, if you don't mind.
Sure. Go right ahead, Robin.
So in Artisan Lakes, I see a lot of patrol units during specific or certain times. Is that possible you guys at least start scheduling something like that with a traffic unit, during specific times of the day? Every once in a while we have like a patrol that, patrol the neighborhood specifically for traffic violations like that.
You talking about in Artisan Lakes or here?
Well, they do it.
I've seen it in Artisan Lakes. I'm wondering if we can do the same thing in Isles at Bayview.
So, yeah, so like I said, when you make that request to them and you tell them this is the problem I'm having, let them know the dates and times. Hey, it's usually Monday through Friday, right all the time kids get out of school until this time. This is where we're having the problem. That way they can pinpoint it, because you don't want them showing up Tuesday at 12 o'clock while the kids are in school, and it's kind of pointless for them to be here. We want to actually be here when the problem's occurring so that they can take steps to correct it. So yeah, definitely just let us know what the dates and times are. And like I said, I think that would probably be the best thing. The other thing is, and sometimes different neighborhoods go for that. If you're having a problem and it's a specific problem and you want that problem targeted, you can hire an off-duty security deputy that'll be here that stays in the area for that allotted period of time, and they will handle those problems. So if you're saying specifically the problems are with the bikes and the all-terrain vehicles, and that's what we want you to do is enforce those, warn the parents, then that's what they're going to do.
Okay.
That's someone hired through the Manatee County Department.
Yeah, so it would be an off-duty deputy. They'd be geared up just like me and have a marked unit, and they'd have the resources of the sheriff's office available to them.
Are there any limitations on what they can do?
Well, they're all, even if they're working off duty for you, they can only enforce Manatee County Municipal Code and Florida State statute. So just keep that in mind. We're not going to be able to say, okay, hey, well, the HOA says this, the CDD says this. They're still only going to be able to enforce what the law says we can. So, but that would just guarantee that they would be there for that period of time where you're having the most problems, so that you're not, man, they're 20 minutes away. The kids are going to be gone by then. So this way they're in the neighborhood. They're already here. Like they're confined to an area. And specifically, if your problems were all at the clubhouse or within a 1 block radius, say, hey, this is the area I want you to pay extra special attention to, drive around everything, but hit this area at this time.
But they can give like warnings and stuff like if they're,
It's whatever times you specify.
I mean, like you said, they can only enforce the Manatee County Code and Florida statute. But like, if somebody's just sort of acting up or running around the pool, they can talk to them.
If there's an issue with the pool and we need to solve it, some kind of an issue like that for us to talk to somebody, yeah, we can talk to them. That's not a problem.
So hold on, I just want to make that clear. You're not talking, because some of my issues that I want to talk about have to do with responses by Manatee County that I've dealt with. It's been made very clear to me that they have, no interest whatsoever in dealing with any of our community rules, which they're not laws. In other words, someone's running around the pool, that's not their problem.
Correct.
So if it isn't
If someone's causing, let me rephrase, if someone's causing a disruption and causing a problem, that's one thing.
Right.
But if it's specifically just hey, you're not supposed to go stand in the flower bed, or you're not supposed to, you know what I mean? That's obviously not something we're gonna, if they're doing something that's causing disruption and they're disturbing the peace, then that's the catch-all for us at that point to maybe take action. But it would have to be something that would fit that statute. You're right.
Yeah, and I suppose sometimes the call comes in that someone's smoking marijuana. Now, here's the thing though, that this medical marijuana card is not technically illegal. It's against our rules though. So someone calls and says, hey, smoking marijuana, I don't want my kids around it. Well, it's not against the law. It's against your rules and we don't enforce your rules.
Well, here's the thing. Technically, they're not supposed to be doing it around, out in public and everything else. There are rules associated with that as well.
Okay.
So if they're found to be violating one of those rules, then, obviously there are different steps that we can take. You can also have them trespass at that point.
It's on my list to talk to you about.
So here, I'll explain the trespass thing, and maybe this will answer your question. As far as trespassing goes, if everyone, say the board here, they all have authority to trespass from the community. Okay. I don't care if you're a resident. I don't care if you're a visitor or if you're somebody that has no business being here. They have the authority to trespass you, even from the pool area, even if you pay or you're part of the HOA. They can trespass you.
Okay,
I'm
so
sorry, today,
Whoever the board is, if they have the authority to issue a trespass warning, that's all they're going to call us. We're going to show up, and that's what's going to happen.
So I don't want to get into my stuff yet. I want everyone here to have their say on what they're expecting to do. But one of my scenarios, I have two responding officers directly doing the opposite of what you just described. And I'll go through that in detail.
Okay.
And we can talk about how we deal with a situation like that. When it is just incorrect information that they are giving and incorrect procedures that they are doing.
I think one of the problems is the information that was sent out. Well, let me go back. I'll be honest with you. What I've always told people, and even probably a year and a half ago when I talked to you guys, was when I was here last, was that in order for us to trespass somebody, they have to be somebody who doesn't belong here. We can't trespass a friend that's here visiting grandma down the road and she's allowed to use the pool. They just so happen to be violating the HOA rules. We can't enforce the HOA rules. However, there was a memo that actually came out from our legal department. It was kind of buried in some emails that I dug up. And as far as I'm aware, this is still active. So based on that, their finding and their understanding of it is, because it became such a big problem, if a board member or somebody who has authorization to issue a trespass warrant, they have to have that authority. Okay, it can't just be a resident. It can't just be somebody from another. It has to be somebody who has the authority to issue a trespass. If they're issued a trespass, it can be to a resident, it can be to a visitor, or it could be to an unknown. But caveat to that is a board member has to be present. It can't be over the phone. It can't be over video chat. They have to be here because they're the ones that are going to say, you're not allowed here anymore. Don't come back. We're just going to document. If the person refuses to leave, now we have another problem. It's called trespass refusal to leave, and that is an arrestable offense. If they come back within a 1-year period, which is the length of time our trespass warnings are good for, they can't be arrested again.
well, before we go too far on, just about like the bike and all that stuff. Is there a program with the sheriff's office that offers like an officer to come and do like a bike scooter safety class that maybe we could take a different approach and maybe gather the kids here on a Saturday morning and ask them the things?
Not necessarily. I know at one point we did have where we give bikes away and bicycle helmets away and stuff like that. That's kind of in limbo right now. We're trying to figure out where that program's going because it's moved around.
Yeah.
So as of right now, not necessarily. However, that might change in the future. But the other thing is you have to be able to get those people all in one room at one time in order to get that done. But, it's not a bad idea.
Also, maybe that, I don't know, how far away is the sheriff's office from here, or are you guys put into like different quadrants for your,
Are you talking about the district office?
where police will come from when I call 911?
So everybody, so all the guys that you see out driving around, they're assigned to zones.
Okay.
Okay, so the district offices are currently, we have, because we've been moved around and kicked from building to building, so I don't get involved in that. That's the politics of it in the county, and depending on what building we're gonna be in, because we don't own it, the county does. We have two areas right across from the mall. That's our operations center, which houses District 1. Then right next door is our District 2, which is our west side office. District 1 houses east side. Our District 3 office, which would control this area, is over off of State Road 64, right there where 67th Street Circle East is, where Cracker Barrel and all that is. That office there is our north side office. But just keep in mind, north side, for us, our districts, our zones, everything east of the interstate is considered north side. So all the way down to University Parkway, all the way out to Mayaca, then all the way back up around here, all the way to Palmetto. North side is about 2/3 of the county.
There's a substation that will be coming to this more area?
So that, yes. So the last thing that I heard, the last time that I heard this, was probably about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. And I was told the substation that they're planning on building, and keep in mind, they have changed their mind on location probably 5 times, and they might do it again 5 more before lunch tomorrow. The last thing that I heard was that the next substation, which would be the north side substation, should be coming to, Erie Road over by, Olamide Sims Park. The county had bought that property for like SCF and something like that, and now they're gonna go ahead and put a district there. So that was the last thing that I heard. Like I said, that could change. They don't keep me in the loop about that.
Like I live next to several, I'm surrounded by a couple of our high range nuisance houses.
Okay.
I've called police several times for fist fighting, drug dealing, license plate switching. They come sometimes quickly, sometimes a very long time, and I get they're maybe on another call. And
Well-
sometimes when we call and give an exact address, and there's people like outside just drive by, not even slow down. I have it on video. Don't even slow down, don't even
Right.
stop. And then I pulled a report later, and it says like something that not at all what happened.
So I'll just go ahead. This is a big misconception that we get quite a bit. So I'll just kind of ways to make sure that doesn't happen. When you call them, there's a couple different things. So when a deputy gets a call for service, obviously the deputy that's going to be coming to your house didn't talk to you.
Right.
The dispatcher that dispatched the call didn't talk to you. You talked to a call taker. That call taker forwards it to the dispatcher. They then forward it to one of our guys. There are a couple different ways that it shows up on the screen. One is STC, which means see the complainant. That means you want someone to come talk to you afterwards in person and or call with the outcome. So either a deputy or a dispatcher will call you with the outcome, or they'll come to your residence. The other one is check area only. So if you don't request a deputy to come talk to you afterwards, they're going to drive through the area and try to locate the problem. If they don't, they're going to clear the call.
What if they see it happen?
If they see it happen, then they should be taking action.
What if they don't show up at all?
If they don't show up at all, I'd say that's a problem. You should make a complaint.
Absolutely.
I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I mean, if you call for service and deputy doesn't show up, I would call that. Hey, they didn't show up.
I think for me personally, I haven't had an officer come direct. I'm literally surrounded on all sides,
Right.
and it's a safety issue. I have young children,
Well, that's what I say. If you don't necessarily, hey, contact me with the outcome, do not come to my residence though. Because you don't want to pinpoint and say, hey, I'm the one that called. I got that. I understand that completely. You don't want, reprisal. So that's why I say, have them call you at least with the outcome so you can discuss it. That way you have an idea of what happened or what action was taken. That way you're kind of in the know, because otherwise you're in the dark.
right? Like I called one time and they said hey, literally drove by, never stopped, and said on the report, made contact with the address, said everything was fine. 100% lie.
And if that's the case,
Camera.
so just, so we wear body cameras, that's trackable for GPS. The radios are trackable, our cars are trackable, our phones are trackable, everything in that vehicle is trackable. If they want to know where I'm at, they know where I'm at. Believe me, I'm not stealing anything from them. So what I mean by that is, if they're not showing up to where they're supposed to be, to hold them accountable. That's what we have internal affairs and all that kind of good stuff for. They do the investigation on it if they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, and they'll straighten that out.
So
Would you make that
when she sees a
clear?
report and no one came by, who's supposed to contact?
So what I would do is I would contact and ask for a supervisor, ask for the sergeant. If the sergeant has the ability to go back and review those things, and if that's an ongoing issue and you want to file a complaint, just say, okay, this is an ongoing issue, I want to file a complaint. They'll accept it. You can get that complaint to any deputy. The other thing, to answer your other question, though, because I know other people might have the same question, you're talking about time for response, how it varies sometimes.
Yeah, I try to get that.
So the way that, but your question earlier though, I want to make sure I answer everything. Your question earlier was how are these separated? So north side, we have different zones. We have north 10, 20, 30. Those are all zones that are specifically just north of the river. And you have deputies from each ship assigned to those zones. Now, depending on how many deputies on each ship will depend on how many deputies are in those zones. So you might have 2 for each ship in those zones. But then we have North 40. North 40 goes north of the river and all the way south of the river down to University. So that's a huge zone. It's just long and skinny, but you can imagine coming across the river at any point in time during the day. It's usually not a fun trip. At night, not so bad. During the day, it's a nightmare. That being said, if we have a burglary in progress call, I just want to give you an idea how many deputies it takes to go to a burglary in progress call. So if you guys have a burglary in progress call, hey, I watched the guy breaking into the car right now. We're going to have a deputy go to the scene, verify crimes occurred. We're going to have a canine. We're going to have a second deputy go with the canine and track with the dog. But then it requires an additional 4 deputies to set a perimeter. And sometimes it might be more depending on the neighborhood and number of ingress, egress. So if you think about it, in between the hours of say 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock or 2 and 5, when you only have that small group of people out, if you have one burglary in progress, all your resources are now stacked in one area. So anything going on over here is going to be somebody from another area that's riding there, or you're going to have to wait for them to clear.
Are you understaffed currently?
I wouldn't say that we're understaffed. I mean, you're actually fully staffed, I think, at this point. Fully staffed what we're allowed to have. So all that stuff is controlled by the Board of County Commissioners, what they want to give us and everything else. So honestly, our response time is typically pretty good, especially for those priority calls. Like I said earlier, all calls are going to be prioritized. And, you know, the ones that where there's the greatest likelihood of somebody being injured or killed are going to get priority. It doesn't matter how long you've been waiting. Those are going to go right to the top of it. Yes, sir.
Hypothetically, I have some neighbors that live across the street from me, and about once every couple of months, they like to fight each other in the front yard.
Okay.
And every, I don't know, it kind of escalates. Like last time they threatened, she said, you don't have a gun, you have a gun, you're gonna kill me, you don't have a gun. This is 7:15 in the morning. Hypothetically. She clearly sees me. I go inside because I'm like, I've heard them arguing many times. You literally yell, you know I want to go done in this driveway. This is fantastic. Merry Christmas, by the way. They came over, she came over, showed my car, set up the car alarm. I came back out. They went back in. I went back inside. She showed my car again. This has happened quite a few times. I have her on camera walking over to shake my car to set up the alarm.
To get your attention.
To get my attention. But this happens pretty regularly. I don't want to be a part of the drama, to be really honest with you. He's not going to shoot her. She's not going to shoot him. I mean, if they do, I don't know what goes on in their house, but obviously this is just their norm.
Right.
What should I actually do? I don't want to be the guy that doesn't do anything when they murder each other, but at this point,
I'll be honest with you, and here's the thing, this is a question, this is a question that every deputy, every police officer is gonna probably tell you the same thing. You know, we have that same question ourselves, what do I do? Because I don't know how many times I've gone to the same house in the period of one weekend, and it's never been enough for me to arrest somebody, there's never been any violence, there's never really been a crime, but it's like, man, this is gonna end well. So I'm just gonna err on the side of caution, and I would say, report it. Try to say, hey, listen, I want to stay completely anonymous. I don't want to get involved, but I heard a gun. I heard this. I see this. If you got video, give them the video. Hey, we'll come knock on your door. Hey, you have cameras. Do you have video? Oh, well, yeah. What are you supposed to do with that? Tell us no. I mean, so I mean, that means you've got a little bit of an out. But yeah, I mean, definitely, I would definitely involve there's an issue because you never know what's going to happen. And I would say, I know we want to say that, yeah, they make these threats, but you know what? Deep down inside, if they're making threats like that, there's always that possibility that something's going to go wrong.
See something, say something.
Absolutely. So if you want to remain anonymous, you don't want to get blocked, I completely understand.
Yeah, I mean, they're very low. And to be honest with you, they do this quite often, but yet all of my other neighbors, I'm like, are you guys hearing this? And they're like, oh yeah, it is whatever.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
yeah, that shouldn't be normal.
yeah, well.
I will mention, as I mentioned before, that the HOA has some authority, with regard to the declarations, about a nuisance, activity. And so what they need, what they require, it has to be documentation, thank you, and that documentation has to have that home's address in it. So if you're calling in a complaint about this particular home, give the address of it, and as we've learned tonight, you follow up and say, I want to be followed up with, call me directly, so we don't go to your house. That way you know that you came, you looked at it, maybe you didn't see something, maybe you did. But the point that I'm getting to is eventually they have a report. Now, there's been a situation, someone in this neighborhood said, I filled the report and you had the wrong address. Now I'm understanding better, okay, that the person should have called them right back up and said, the report has a numerical error, right? This was not that address, so that.
Right.
Fix or amended or something, right? So make sure that you end up with a report for the call, you made the nuisance activity, and that it has the proper address on it, and send it to the HOA president.
The other thing going back, I know somebody said drug dealing, stuff like that, right? If you're having a problem, I'm just gonna give this extension to you. It's 1100. If you call the sheriff's office, non-emergency number, call 1100, it goes to our intel ambulance. All right, I can tell you, somebody who was a former narcotics detective, I spent a whole decade doing that. If you guys call, what happens is you guys say, hey, listen, we're seeing a lot of short-term traffic. We're seeing hand-to-hands. We're seeing this type of activity. The car pulls something, beeps the horn, the guy comes out of the house, he hands it something, goes back in. Well, that's consistent with narcotics use, sale and usage. So what you do is you contact them, give them the information. Obviously, you don't know what type of drugs are being sold, or maybe you do. If you have tag numbers or anything like that, write them down, give them to us. Let our guys handle it. What happens from that? They create a tip, and it'll essentially get assigned to a narcotics detective who will then be assigned to investigate it. So that's one way to do it. Not only that, in doing that, we also have instances where we can actually, after so many search warrants, if we have an ongoing issue, they can do what they call nuisance abatement. Okay, so that's where hopefully they get the people out of the house. More than likely, you're probably dealing with renters on the street, correct? So, we start hypothetically, if we start taking in doors and breaking windows, the people bringing the house to them are not going to be happy. And I got to swear that's where SWAT team does things. So, not that you guys want that in your neighborhood, but if you have a problem house, it's an option. Those, hey, just remember, mouth open, ears plugged, you'll be all right when the flashbangs go off. You don't want to be too close.
Back to what I said about the addresses, like for me, I call, I'm a regular caller, and
It's like a radio show. I love it.
I get like explicit address of where something is happening.
Right.
And then on a report, it only comes back as 1700 block of Moonsail Drive.
Well, and that could be, and I'll be honest with you. So we used to, the way things used to be, and we responded to like domestic. Domestics were, they have it all the time, right? We responded to a domestic and we got there, we would be required to write a report. Regardless, it would be, you're going to write paper. You're killing some trees today. Okay. And it would be, you're going to write the incident page. You're going to write, hey, I arrived on scene. No signs of violence were there. None were alleged. Both parties were issued packets. Everybody was happy and I left. That's what's going to be there. Okay. I mean, it's probably a little bit longer than that, but that's basically it. Now, the way that it is now, because we had so many of those that reports that didn't go anywhere, is they now allow with our computer system is they clear the call for service on the screen. So it's not actually pulling a case number, but it pulls an event number. Every call that our deputies get dispatched to get an event number. Not every call gets a case number. Case number is when an actual report's breaking a crime occurred. So if they went there and it's a domestic battery, there's actually a crime, they're going to pull a supplemental case number, and then that's what the report's going to go under. So what you might be reading is the call for service, is the screen, is the notes the deputy put on the screen before they. So, and in that case, if the dispatcher said, hey, it's the 4400 block of this, that would be explain why they had it in.
I'm also noticing that like some of the people that are involved in this, like for instance, like I had a call 2 weeks ago, they were slamming doors, screaming, yelling in the front yard, cursing, rubbing engines. And one of the people that were involved called, like gave the wrong address a few houses down, and I think that's intentional. And so, I mean, like, we're not able to build our case against like the nuisance homes without having those explicit addresses.
So what I would do is, and what I would start asking for is if you're trying to build a case that way, is obviously the board has the ability to do it, or the attorney, whoever you guys have do that. They have the ability to do a public records request from the sheriff's office, say, hey, we need every call for service in between January 1 and December 31st that has occurred in this 100 block on this street. And then you'll know that these are all associated with that house. So you have the ability to do that. The other thing is you actually have the ability to go to the Manatee County Sheriff's Office website, and you can actually pull up calls for service, and the event number is there. So if you just want to report the event number, or you can ask the dispatcher for the event number.
Well, I think what she's getting at, because I've worked from now on, and if they, so if you say something like 1400 block to 1700 block, is there something that exists that's more specific, or that's all we got?
Typically, if you give them the address, the exact numerical, that's what should be there. I don't know why it would be 100 block, or you know what I mean? I would, if you're saying it's occurring at this residence, not in the roadway, not, if you're saying it's occurring in the roadway, maybe they're okay, they could be transients walking through versus, but I would say it's occurring at that house. And I don't know, maybe that's, like I said, I'm not sure why it would show up that way, because it should show up with the numerical you gave.
And if it doesn't, can they follow up and request that it's be rectified? Because I called, you know, after what it was that house, it was not this block, and we need that for documentation.
So what they could do,
Okay, that's the wrong same street, that's why I'm saying, like, it's different, you know, what I mean? If you say something, you
Right.
know, like 6,000.
no, I got you. So what I would do is, like I said, I would try to find out, I mean, if you can that night, but let them know, hey, listen, we're building a case against them. This is an ongoing issue. This is the address. And if it's not there, then maybe you can call back and say, hey, can you just document the address where this is occurring? So at least it's there. That way, even if it's in the comments section, it's there, it's documented somewhere. But it should be there in the actual screen. So, I mean, that, you know, at least the way that we get it, that's the way that it shows up.
Other questions from the audience? And we do have some folks on the Teams call, so I will ask if there's any questions from the Teams call for Officer Warren. Okay, so
Strictly up in your point of view, just frustrated, one of them.
It's not a problem, but like I said, if there is a problem or something that we're not doing that we could be doing better, let us know. Like I said, if there's something that's not happening that we can fix, if there's a problem, we don't know there's a problem until someone says, hey, there's an issue with this. Let us know, we'll fix it. And like I said, at any point in time, if you feel like I told you earlier, if you feel somebody's not doing their job, ask for the supervisor. If you feel that you're still not getting the answers that you need, you might not get the answers you want, but you're gonna get the answers. But if you feel like it's still not going that way, like I said, you're more than willing, you're more than able to file a complaint if that's the case, and it'll be investigated somewhere else to make sure they're doing the job. So we operate on full transparency, so it is what it is. Like I said, if somebody's doing something wrong, it needs to be fixed.
now, board members, if you had any additional questions, comments, I know Kevin, you had referenced. Yep, go right ahead.
All right, I'm gonna try to be, I have a tendency to go into too much detail. I'm gonna try to avoid that and jump to the question, and then if you need more detail, I'll give that to you. So situation one, the 25th of November, I was made aware that a team had climbed through a building screening.
Okay.
Broke it or didn't break it in some criminal, and then went around to a side gate here and let in the team girl.
Okay.
Okay. So that was reviewed and verified on campus, but I have no idea who they are because our security system requires
Swipe.
a swipe, and that swipe brings up a picture. You know, we have everyone's registered and so on. So unidentified. So far as I'm concerned, that's a trespass because even if they had a card, they would use it. And if they didn't, it's still suspension.
Right.
Is what that would resulted in for that person anyway, that they could be identified. And that's suspension would mean they were no longer authorized to access this facility and they could be trespassed in the future.
So, yeah, so if somebody say saw that, if we drove by, we caught them here, or you caught them here and you call us.
Right.
And we showed up, they're on scene, because they said they have to be here in order for us to trespass. If you're there and you have the authority, we can trespass them.
Okay, so now we're getting to day two.
Okay,
So day two, I become aware that the same teams are here.
okay.
I verified on camera, called the police, I said calling a trespass to the CDD board member. Two responding officers meeting here. They asked for descriptions of the teams, which I gave them. They asked if I spoke to them. I said I have been advised not to. We don't confront potential trespass.
Yeah, absolutely.
But come on, situation. So, and I said, but I am aware they also let in 5 minors that came without an adult, and they're swimming. They said to me, well, we're not going to do anything about that. That's your rules, your problem. You can go talk to the kids. We'll go talk to the teens. So I said, okay, very good. So we walk in together. I go to the pool. I'm talking. I take care of that situation. I know they belong to whatever. There was 2 officers talking to the team. And so I go back to join them. And he said, well, they both say they live here. They're 13, 14 years old. So they have right people. And I said, well, that's not necessarily true. I said, yesterday I saw the same thing and I explained the situation to them. And he said, well, you know, seriously, on the trespass, do you really want to trespass a 13 and 14-year-old? It'd be fine for that. And I said, my job is not to worry about that. My job is to come here and verify if someone's an unauthorized person. And if not, especially if they're repeated access, to trespass them. And he said, well, they both say they're here. The teen girl said her aunt's on the way. So, and I said, perfect. Then I will reserve judgment, but he said, you can talk to her. I said, of course, I'd love to talk to her, find out if they're authorized persons to be there. Neither of the kids want to say anything. Perfectly understood. So the aunt comes in. So the officer says, okay, here you go, talk to her. I explained the situation, explained that they were here yesterday. And she says, well, I live over years. This is my niece. She lives here. She has the right to be. And I explained, well, it doesn't mean she has the right to be here because of the way that they entered 2 days in a row. She said, well, she has a car. We have a car. And I said, well, then use your car. And you have to use the card. That's our rules. And she said to the girl, not wanting to use your card. Are we done here? And I said, well, would you mind giving me your address so I can verify that you have a valid access credential? No, I'm not giving you shit. Okay. The officer says, come here, goes inside, outside or away from them. Obviously, she's pissed off because of her niece or whatever. And I said, fine. I said, I still don't know who he is. She claims to know nothing about him, even though he's spending time with her niece 2 days in a row. He said, let me talk to her, see if I can verify an address, and I'll come back to you. I said, great. I said, just trying to do my thing here. So I waited outside. Eventually, the 2 officers come back outside. People are gone. They say to me, I was able to get her address. And she does live here in the community. And I said, okay, great. And I have the address. So I can verify that they have authorized to enter this facility. He said, no, I'm not giving you the address. And he said, you don't want to report that she lives here? And I said, it doesn't matter if she lives here. And I gave him a litany of reasons why someone who lives here may not have valid access. Could have been suspended. Could have done the paperwork correctly. Maybe didn't provide their license, maybe didn't provide release. Here's what it is. And he said, well, I'm ready to do it. And I said, well, then I am forced the next time I see them to call them trespass again and have you come down there and go through the same rigmarole. Because I don't know who they are. That's not how, it doesn't make any sense. That's the way it works. Yes, sir. So it's okay. That's when I spoke to Michelle about that. It says this, and she said, nope, that's not correct. They should have been able to give you the address. Found the address in the police report. So then we use that to update the documented violation reports with the 2 incidences that are now associated with that house for documentation purposes. But the issue still stands, that I did everything, by the way I was advised to do so, and was still told that it couldn't be trespassed because that the girl lived there. And as far as the boy goes, that no one claimed ownership of or even knew, he's gone. They let him go too. But I didn't get an opportunity to trespass either, but.
Do you know who the deputies were?
Sure do.
Well, afterward, we'll get their names and we'll contact somebody and maybe just make sure they're better informed.
Okay.
So normally what would happen if you show up, if you see somebody here that's not supposed to be here, or they're violating a rule, like I said, we can't enforce the rule. However, we can issue a trespass. But like I said, it doesn't necessarily, it could be a resident. It can be a visitor that's visiting a resident, or it might just be somebody from down the road that said, you know what, one of the people from Dell Webb over here when the use all pool said. It usually goes the other way, but you know, then yes, if you showed up, the thing that we would need, and this is one thing that I would request, if you know you guys are okay with it, to make it a little bit more streamlined is how many, you don't have to answer, but I mean, the board members, you guys all live in the community here?
Yeah.
Okay. If you guys want to be on that, and you're going to say, hey, we're the ones responsible, we're the ones that authorized to issue trespass warnings. Here's the list, here's my name, here's a phone number, here's an address. If we find somebody in the middle of the night that shouldn't be here, we're gonna go down the list and we're gonna start calling, hey, can somebody come up here? We got somebody here, I don't know who they're supposed to be.
We have two that volunteered to do that.
So-
Ralph and John is on the phone.
So yeah, so if we get somebody that's willing to show up and willing to do it, then we can issue a trespass warning. But keep in mind, that is just a warning. That's at that point in time, if crime necessarily hasn't been committed, this is a warning. Don't do it again or you will be arrested. Now, trespass after warning or trespass refusal to leave, those are crimes that can, an arrest can be effective at that time. So I think that's the best way to go about it. If you want to forward me that info,
Absolutely.
and like I said, that way I can forward it to the district commander, and it goes through the right chains. That way we can kind of make sure that it's getting
And
passed.
when I come here for something like that, if it's not criminal activity or something that's dangerous or a concern, but it's unauthorized access, fence jumper or whatever, all I really want to leave with is an address, and I would like the officers to perform that action, because we are advised by counsel not to go approach people ourselves.
And that's the thing, a lot of people carry guns these days. You don't know, it's not worth anybody into a fist fight or any liability. It's better for us to do it. Just let us do it. It's all on camera. It's documented then.
Right.
But not only that, if you approach them after you called us or before you called us, the chances of them still being here by the time we get here, knowing that we're on the way, are pretty slim to none. So we need them to be here in order for us to affect that trespass point. So yeah, so it's better to notify us and give us a head start. Let's get here, then we can address the issue.
Okay, great. I'll jump on to my next one.
Kevin, if you could give me a minute before we go any farther. So the officer, he made it clear that we need somebody to be there. Before we go any farther, is any board member against this? Need to say it right now.
I don't think so.
No.
No. Is any board member willing to do it?
When you say do it, you mean
Yeah.
be on call?
Show up. Yeah, exactly. Show up and be on a call. I am in. Who else?
I remain in. You can add me to the list.
I'm
Who?
on the list, that's fine. Martin will do it, Ron will do it, Kevin
You
will
can-
do it.
You can add all five. I mean, all five of us should. That's part of our fiduciary responsibility as a board member to protect
All right.
this asset.
Perfect. Let's move forward.
I
Thank
think at one point we were all on the or the members who were on the board before.
So if you guys want to forward me a list, like I said, that way, what I'll do is I'll talk to our district commander, which is Captain Brad Johnson, really good dude. He's very hands-on. He probably would have been here tonight, honestly, if he hadn't even known I was coming, but I don't know what his schedule is, especially after the holidays. But that being said, I forward everything to him, then he forwards it down to his people, then it'll get disseminated as needed. But like I said, that way, if we find something, we have someone to contact. Because if we found somebody doing something, I could just go knock on the neighbor's door and go, hey, are you a board member? No, do you know how to get a hold of one? We're not going to do that. But if we have that list where we can start making phone calls, hey, is somebody available? Then we can do something about it. Obviously, if one of you guys happen upon something that is going on, you just call us directly. We don't need to call you, and we'll just show up and we can handle it. And like I said, I mean, you guys know that obviously when you're dealing with people that are members of the HOA or are members, and you guys are putting yourselves in that position where you might have that liability you guys are going to be dealing with later legally. But like I said, as far as, I have access and now you're telling me I can't come back. So we're here just to say that you guys have the authority to trespass. You're telling them not to come back. Here's the warning. It's now done.
On what you just said, and I have this question I haven't really a straight answer to. Certainly could be liability in the future for us and so on. Is there any that you are aware of legal or issue why one of us, when going on to one of these calls, couldn't have a camera of our own?
I mean, you guys are capable of doing whatever you want. It's not against the law to record. Okay. I mean, unless you're doing so in a place where there's an expectation of privacy or, going to someone's home, hospital room, something like that. That's a little bit different. But if you are just recording on your phone, people do it to us all the time.
All right, perfect.
I do it to people all the time. So it's not on right now, I promise.
I've heard of incidents where people are reporting other people and that makes the other person angry.
It can do that, yes. It can do that, yes.
We're just looking out for the safety of the board members.
Yeah, so, like I said, that's why it's better if you call us first. Let us come there, let us be that first point of contact. And then, like I said, at that point, it's going to be recorded. We all wear body cameras. They're all, it's going to go to that call. It's going to be assigned to that call. That way you're not putting yourself in that position. But to answer your question legally, sure, you can record in a public place.
All right. So two additional scenarios that happened then. Two calls were made. This was just a week or two ago. I was informed directly because it was on CDD property. And while this was sort of unfolding, someone called from here noticing activity on the bench right in the back. Someone called from a house off the farm noticing the same activity on the bench. It could be included two teams. I'll use the word of the day theoretically, having sexual relations in public on the bench and theoretically smoking some sort of thing that didn't look like a cigarette. So they were called in by concerned residents, and both were told separately, independently, were told by whoever took the call that they need to provide the name, which now we have, okay, and the phone number. They didn't know either who that would be. And both people who made those calls reported that no one ever came to their call to look at this incident.
If I would say if that's going on, and you guys have cameras here that would show that, hey, they're here, nobody ever showed up.
We have. I have observers on the legal activity on that bench around that time.
No, I mean, you said the deputies never showed up, right?
Correct.
So if they didn't show up, I'm saying if you have video of this incident, and we know that, hey, at this time the deputies didn't show up, they can pull up their footage, or not their footage, but their because their camera doesn't come onto the car typically. But what they can do is they can pull their tracking history and find out where exactly they were, how long they were there. Did they actually go to the area where the call was? And I hate to say it, no one's perfect, but have we ever had somebody do that? I'm sure everybody has, but if they're not going to the call, then that's a problem.
Would protocol be that the two people that made those phone calls to the police then do that follow up and say they didn't come?
Whoever can do it.
Or one of the board members could do that.
It might be better if one of you guys did it. Just say, hey,
didn't see a car come.
Yeah, I mean, I would verify that those calls actually came in, first of all, because so they're telling you they called, but I can say this, you guys probably have a community Facebook, right? We talked about this briefly earlier. I was in a neighborhood Monday night, and I told them, I said, supposed to be everybody be responsible and everybody do their part. I said, what that means is when you see something, you got to say something immediately. You contact us. You don't go to Facebook and put it on Facebook and expect that we're going to see it. I can't see that page. And usually the third comment or a comment down under that, after they show the surveillance photo of the guy that's out there pulling on door handles, the third comment down is, did anybody call the sheriff's office? And it's like, no, like believe me, my communities know better. They do the same thing. We have more Facebook pages and we don't have people do that.
Oh, we get the sprinklers broken for 5 days on the Facebook page. Why did the CDD do anything to fix it? Did you know that it was broken? No, they should have Facebook, right? No.
Right.
So we get that, yeah.
So like I said, that's what we try to encourage people. Make sure you're calling us because the state will instant grease. I mean, it is a real thing. It really is. And if there's a problem, it lets us know so that we can come and we can address it.
Very good. So we'll follow up on that one. Then I appreciate it. So, but,
Yeah, no problem.
Are there any reasons he wouldn't come out, like if they,
Barking dogs.
barking dogs?
You don't spawn barking dogs.
Like any incidents in the pool at night and
If you
smoking?
have somebody here that's saying, hey, someone's trespassing and we need them trespassed, we're gonna come. So if we, someone's using drugs or something they shouldn't be doing by the pool area, there's kids around, we're gonna come in. So.
okay, the last one then, for me, unless someone else has questions. So this was a bike theft incident, again, within the last several weeks, probably pushing 2 months now.
Yeah.
Probably about 2 months, right? You saw the bike, right? Do you remember? November. All right, so people become aware, and then I become aware the same day that morning. A couple of kids drinking bikes in the park. Right. So going back there, this is bus stop time. And so they're there early, but then you can see more and more kids arriving as this is unfolding. Cameras get it all. You get the theft of the bike from the bike rack across the street. Well, the other bike was a bike that it came on. I don't know whose bike it was. But anyway, there was time when they're hanging out near one of the gates. Crystal clear footage of the kids involved. It just crystal clear footage. Anyway, they're all competing. Throw the bike in the pond. So I mean, like it's all there. So the person who's turns out, daughter control bike's gone, finds out that it's the starter's bike. He called the police, case number is established.
Okay.
So I called to follow up on that because I have footage. And I get speak to someone, get the information by which I can upload that footage. I kind of wrote a very detailed timeline. Remember, A, B, C, these kids, this is what they look like, included screenshots, provided video and stuff.
Okay.
Also, I know people talk, right? Their kids are on the same bus. By the afternoon, everyone knows exactly which kids did it, whose bike it was. The parents told their parents. So word's not. It's so-and-so lives there, so-and-so lives there. I provide all that I've heard and all that I know, just the fact of stuff to that particular case. So far, I've never heard a word. And I also requested actually that should there be any other charges associated with besides theft, by which the CDD has some jurisdiction, such as those are funds, this is our property, littering, anything else.
I think they would probably just charge them with theft. Have you talked to the victim? Has the victim been in contact with the detective?
Yeah, he said he served nothing. And I'm not saying, this is, those political stuff. So I'm not critiquing that I haven't heard yet. I'm just
Right.
asking, what I'm asking is there sort of an expectation of some time that one should wait before following up? Because the same kids, okay, they're in the video, are at the bus stop every day still now. I saw 2 of them.
And you guys have names? You guys have names for the kids?
From residents that have reached out to me and said, oh, that's so-and-so, and that's so-and-so, who my kids know, and they're on the bus every day. They were talking about throwing the bike in the water. And so,
Right.
And I said to the officer just in the thing, I said, these are very good pictures. You could come today at 2:30 when they get off the bus, you're still wearing the same clothes. I mean, they're unmistakable.
Yeah, no.
Identified, but no.
But typically, when it takes the time with those types of cases is, especially when you're dealing with juveniles, is they don't have driver's license and things like that, and they're not, they don't have vehicles assigned to them. So the identification is usually the long part. You guys already have them identified.
Yeah.
And the detectives, and I can tell you this from experience, they're probably going to call you, they're going to call the victim. This is how they're going to call. So what I would do is I would get the victim, and maybe both of you shoot a phone call to the sheriff's office. You can ask for, I believe that's north side to be Sergeant Byngton. And I would talk to him. He's the north side property supervisor.
Hold on. I just write that email, my follow-up.
Yeah, Byngton. It's Byington.
When you take care with the resident, I've been told, I've been made clear by the attorney and by the board's decision at the last meeting that I can't share likenesses, photos, images, anything from our cameras with anyone except the police. So I couldn't get with the resident and say, hey, does your kid know these people?
Well, you're just giving them names.
Okay,
These are the names we've heard. I'm not saying you weren't giving the footage to the police. Police have it.
yeah, but I
But-
mean, the police don't know yet that, oh yeah, that's John, and he lives in that house, and that's Joan, she lives over there. But the people in the community do. And the guy whose life was taken, knows who they are. He has since found out, but.
And the only thing I can say is I think the easiest way to do it would be contact the sheriff's office, speak to the detective.
Yeah.
Or if you can get a hold of the detective and talk to the supervisor, which I don't know who the detective assigned is.
Yeah.
But I know that that's the north side supervisor. He'd be the one that would be assigning the cases. And like I said, I mean, I would give that information to him because like I said, those are the hardest things in the world sometimes is to identify a juvenile because you're essentially what you're doing is going, okay, well, what school district is that? Then you're sending the SRO or the guardian, well, hey, do you know who these kids are?
In this case, you know, that, I mean, give them bus.
Yeah.
So we need to find them every day, still today, in this afternoon, every day.
But if you
So I
have
would
things,
talk to them directly.
I was all that you can ask and say, hey, man, what's going on? You know, this is what's going on, and you know, all on behalf of the community, here's what the issue is.
Okay.
And just ask him, if you have the case number, that would be a lot easier.
I do, yeah,
Okay, good.
Yep.
Yeah, give him the case number, he'll be able to pull it up and tell you what the status of the case is, but I would give him those names. And like I said, he'll forward it on to his detectives so they can follow up with it.
Awesome. Okay.
But I'll be honest with you, the property detectives, those guys are, those, I don't want to say overworked, but when I was there, I carried a case of about 55 cases, so.
Yeah, it's not a matter of how.
If you're really about.
I was gonna say, is that like, where, I guess where I was gonna go with my question, you just kind of tapped on it was, we're asking a detective over a bike. Like, and I mean, I'm not trying to minimize it or trivialize it, but in your scheme of things.
Here's the thing, bikes are expensive these days.
Yeah.
And if you're doing something with bikes, then you're doing something with something else. I mean, if you're doing that, then it's kind of a rotten thing to do, taking over a whole bike and broken ponds.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that is something that they need to know, you know, because if you guys start having more problems in the area, it's all about, like we said before, documentation. So the more you document, the better off you'll be in the end, I think, would be the best way to go about it.
The only other question I have is that there's been some occasional suggesting that the way we could stop and the way we could deal with all of these things much more effectively would be if we had a 9 to 5 on-site staff person at the pool, and if we had off-duty, not off-duty, you can clarify that tonight, private security companies patrolling at night. So what can they do that we can't, that we're not doing now? And what kind of authorities do they have that we don't have?
So as far as the off-duty, I'm not saying this so that you'll hire the sheriff's office over everybody else, but I just want you to make sure that you can do your due diligence. I was actually working in off-duty detail one night, and I pulled over in Yellow Toyota down in Byngton, and I see this little security guard zip in off of 41, come by me and go, hey, what are you doing, man? I'll announce some paperwork. And he goes, yeah, man. He goes, well, I just checked this parking lot real quick. He goes, I'm on to the next one. I said, you don't stay here? And he goes, no. He goes, I've got 15, 20, 30 places on here. And he showed me a map. It had about 40 dots on it. And it was all over Manatee and Sarasota counties. He was driving back and forth between these places. So the amount of time that I was there, the 5 minutes, that was more time. I spent more time there than he did. So I don't know how much Gettle's paying him, but they're getting ripped off. So I'm only saying that because these are the same companies that also do residential stuff. So just do your due diligence when you do it. I want to make sure that people are going to be here and not here in Artisan Lakes and Dell Webb. And you know what I mean? You want to make sure that you're getting what you pay.
And they wouldn't have trespass authority, would they?
No, they are not able to take any kind of, I mean, they can contact us. So it's the same thing you guys are going to do. You know, whereas if we're here and we see something, then we can take immediate law enforcement action. So that's the upside. But like I said, obviously, I don't know what they charge. I do know what we charge. You know, we're not cheap. I get it. But like I said, essentially what you're doing is you're taking a deputy who's on his day off and going, yeah, I'll go work a few hours. Okay, what's the problem? What am I doing tonight?
Sure.
You know?
And now if we hire the off-duty officer, there's a minimum time. Right?
3 hours, I think, is the minimum.
And they'll come, like, if we hire them, they'll come. I've heard they're
hours.
So sometimes you can't, like, you can't get folks because they're.
So what happens is they put it out every month. And some months, and I'll tell you right now, you probably have no problem getting people to fill it. I will tell you this, the more stuff that's piled on sometimes, people are like, ah. I'm just being honest with you because I've seen it. The more stuff that's piled on there, it's like, okay, so wait a minute, I'm gonna be out here running around for like the full 3 hours. Like there's no, I'll drive around a patrol, I'll do this, I'll take action if needed, but the more stuff you put in there, the people do shy away from it. I'm just gonna be honest with you. So very basic, these are the problem areas we're having. This is what we're after. We may call you to come up here and do this or do that. Or if it's the bikes or if it's the scooters, then, obviously that's the issue. Address your time based on that or adjust your time based on that. It typically is a 3-hour block. I think it's a 3 hours, if I'm not mistaken, and it's $65 an hour. That covers all the equipment, the fuel, and the deputies pay. So that way, at that point, any liability, it's on us. So if you want someone trespass at that point, we can do it. There's no waiting for somebody else. The deputy's able to do it.
So we can ask for a certain schedule and then.
You can ask, absolutely. You can ask if you're having problems. I would narrow it down to the problem, the times that you're having, like pick one problem and stick with that first.
Yeah.
If the biggest problem is people trespassing in the pool area, you think at this point in time, okay, well, what are the dates and times that this is happening the most frequently? And try to utilize those deputies during those hours. Because like I said, you don't want to do it 5 to 6 days a week. You know what I mean? Take 2 or 3 days and run it. And that way you can address the problem. Once you get a trespass, they've already been trespassed once. They come back and that's a different story.
Yeah, I think a perfect example would be the fact that the discussion about the 2 teens on the bench included the realization from these folks that have been seeing this similar activity ongoing at night around a certain time for 2 months. So that's a perfect lot to say, check out the dark playground between 11 p.m. and 1 a.m. For the next couple of weeks.
Berkowitz Bridge is one that I work quite frequently. It's a 3-hour block. Yeah. It's from like 11 to I think it's 11 to 1. Or it's 11 to, I don't know, 10 to 2, something like that. Anyways, I go out there and I drive around the neighborhood. They say, hey, pay attention to the pool area, check it out because we've had vandalism and stuff like that. But we don't want you to sit at the pool area, drive around. Okay, cool. I turn my blue lights on, so it's a steady blue, turn my alley lights on, and I drive the community. Which also is keeping your burglars out and stuff like that. Because when they see us driving around, they're like, oh, one of the next neighborhood, and they move on down the road. So that's a little bit of a benefit to it too. But like I said, if you're having a problem specifically, let us know what the problems are. So and tell us where you want us to be. And if you even want us to complete a log, hey, what did you do during your 3 hours? Complete a log and send it to you.
As you mentioned, other communities, is this just the norm right now?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys it is different. It's the biggest problems we have in this county, I'll be honest with you, is unlocked vehicle burglaries. And I'll tell you guys the same thing I tell everybody else in the areas that I work, because I work in nice areas. I got lucky, right? You guys live in a great neighborhood. You guys have nice houses, nice neighbors, nice things. You guys are close to I-75. You can be in St. Pete in no time. You can be in Sarasota in no time, traffic pending, of course. Or you hit 301 and you go up Riverview and you're up in Tampa, right? Here's the downside. You live in a nice neighborhood, you have nice things, and you're close to everything. Okay, so that makes you guys sorry, just like it does every other neighborhood along 75. Okay, so we get the guys from St. Pete, they go to a nice neighborhood, they drive through. If you guys are locking your car doors, which is about 95% of the vehicle burglars we have are unlocked vehicles. If you're not locking your car doors, they're going to take your stuff.
So Ron did ask a good question.
Rabah, I'm sorry, Rabah, go right ahead.
Yeah. So as Ron said, he asked a good question. This is not only happening in our neighborhood, it happens everywhere. I'm not against the idea, but I think we should take our time and see if it's literally worth it or not. Then we can go from there. I don't see there's no need to make a decision tonight, right now, about this specific topic until we look into it deeply, So that's my suggestion. I don't know about the other board members.
Well, I mean, it's gonna look into it, definitely. We can come up with some specifics.
Ideally, with the crime level in this area, with it being built up, so what is like the number statistically now, like what are the number one crime area, like the crime in the zip code? And what are you seeing personally per candidate you control this area?
So I don't necessarily control this area, but I need statistics and things like that. I would say the two biggest issues that we have, because you do have a lot of building, right? Two biggest issues are still going to be unlocked burglaries and construction site thefts. That's the other one. Because you have a lot of builders doing stuff in contact boxes and things like that. And over the weekend, especially holiday weekends, when you have like a long weekend, stuff ends up gone. There is one surefire way though. I'll tell you this is the secret. One surefire way to make an area crime free is to kick everybody out of it. That is the only way that you're going to prevent crime. I'll be honest with you. We can prevent crime and stuff like that and try to minimize it. But if you want a surefire way, you build 4 walls and you kick everybody out of those 4 walls. There's no crime occurring within those 4 walls. But when you have people, unfortunately, you're going to have the problem. You know, when we have an abundance of people, you're bringing in more
I
problems.
think
So
the biggest problem that we have is the same people, like, you know, crime's gonna happen. Yeah. It's the same people committing the crime over and over again, like, and it's frustrating to know that they're getting away with it. I think that's the biggest thing. We all know that, you know, the crime happens everywhere, you know, it's just a matter of there's no consequences, and that's kind of frustrating.
well, that's why I think that it boils down to we got to make sure that we're documenting everything so that you can build your case, either get them out. You know, or put pressure on the guys that are written to them, you know what I mean? Because, you know, that's a little bit of a problem as well, you know? But like I said, that's why I thought the finding committee would be nice if you had it, is you can put pressure on them in the form of money. And guess what? People that are renting houses are not in the habit of wanting to spend money to rent with somebody. So, but you guys have other ways of doing it. So there, you know, you got lawyers and everything else that kind of work on your behalf. So there are other options. But like I said, you got to document everything. If there is an issue with getting things documented, or you say the sheriff's office isn't showing up, contact me and I'll make sure that I contact the captain and they can start looking into it. Because I guarantee he would want to know if his people weren't doing their job.
We appreciate you so much for coming out, and I think just from hearing us talk, you can see our frustration. The times we have reached out.
And you know what? Your frustration is no different than any other community I talk to. It's the same issues. I'm telling you, it's the hot button issues. Is the pool, the trespassing, the bikes. Those are the big 3 right there. So, like I said, those are the big 3. But like I said, it's not a unique issue. You guys are in a bad area. You don't live in a bad neighborhood. You're dealing with the same issues every other community is dealing with.
Well, any other questions this evening?
I'll get your contact information from Michelle. You have it, right? So I can follow up with them. Person you think we're talking about.
Yeah. If you guys want to send me the names, I'll forward them on. If you give me names of those 2.
No, that's what I can follow up.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
No problem. No problem. Just give me a call. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for serving. Well, sure. Well, you're welcome. Good evening.
Okay, good.
Well, good night.
Okay, so we're gonna jump back onto the agenda here. We have supervisory requests and audience comments. These are any audience comments related to the agenda, and then later on in the meeting, towards the end, we have the general audience comments. So again, if you can keep your comments to about 3 minutes, we'll take all the comments, and if the board has any responses, when you're at like 2.5 minutes, I'll just kind of give you a signal just to let you know. And again, I'll go from front to back. If you want to just nod, wave your hand if you have a question for the board or a comment about any agenda items. Anyone? Okay, so we can move in if there's any supervisory requests at this time.
No.
Okay, no.
I have one question.
Yeah.
Back to the officer, that was like, but not really. If that list of people that are allowed to, trespass or whatever, like if I'm here at the pool and there's a big, you know, issue going on that I think deserves, you know, where most people might, you know, think that is a big issue worth calling the police, and I think it may lead to needing to have somebody, maybe if we had a list of people and the contact info on the board, so that like, for instance, I can say, hey, like, just going down here, I've called the police, but I'm obviously not gonna get involved, but somebody that has the authority to step in on behalf of the CDD, you know, like I can call Kevin and say, hey, you know, if you're around,
Yeah.
you know, do you mind coming this way?
So the way that it typically works, and I'll defer towards the board how they want to do it, but the way that it typically works is how the officer kind of laid out. So in that scenario, you would call the officer and then they've got the list and they would wind up calling, you know, they kind of go down the list if Kevin's listed first and move their way through it. And that's just because unfortunately, and I'll speak from my experience, if you have a list of your supervisors' numbers up here,
Yeah,
generally speaking, they're gonna get called because there's a weed in the sidewalk. Which, I mean, is all good info, but this way the officer can kind of take control of it and, when he's here, he
right.
can get them down here if need be and that sort of thing.
I totally get that and agree with you, but at the same time, I think, like, in the last one, that they said they, like, maybe I was told, and I could be completely wrong, that nothing can be done because there wasn't a contact or.
Sounds like we're gonna get that fixed. From what I was hearing, there was gonna be some follow-up on those two specific items where that became the case, because that should not have happened.
Okay,
So we'll get that fixed.
okay.
All right.
I just said something.
Yeah, please go right ahead.
So a question, I know we've been doing a lot of landscape stuff lately, but I don't recall there being anything that we discussed and approved for changing the entry at Barrier Coast yet. And I noticed that is now a palm tree and landscape rock,
Okay.
but I don't recall. that we
Let me
ever-
answer, let me answer that. That was discussed about the $15,000 approved. And I was the one who said we are not going. In the last meeting, we did say, did Andy heard anything about the annual flowers? And he said no. And I said, we're going to be putting a rock and a palm tree. And you guys approved the $15,000 for me to approve it.
I don't recall that. And on here, the invoice or the stuff just talks about the Breaker Lane, the 15,000 being for not to exceed for Breaker Lane.
So I do, just from my own recollection, because we've had the communication with Dell Webb, and I do recall very specifically that we were to continue on the discussion regarding the $500 a month for the sign, but I do remember specifically that we were to stop for making the end caps match.
Yeah.
And that there was going to be minimal
More
planting
permanent, yeah.
that doesn't match what they're doing. So I do remember that dollars wise. I'd have to look and see.
Perfect. Yeah. And that exactly when I mentioned that we are going to be putting palm tree there and rocks that matches the rocks that we have already there to be done with that section.
I don't recall that being said that we were definitely going forward with that, but I know there was a discussion of stuff going on with all that with Dell Webb and whether about the pain, but okay.
All right, let's ask the other board members. Kevin, do you remember that?
Yeah, that's how I remember it, but if we do discuss, or if William wants to talk about doing something different there, I mean, we certainly can. We already agreed, we're talking about some areas now that the landscape infrastructure has been fixed. In some areas that may need upgrades or replacements or whatever. I mean, it's just some rocks and one tree. The tree can be transplanted somewhere else if we decide that there's a better solution for that, but I don't see what the big deal is.
I think it looks great.
Ron, did you remember that?
I do remember us discussing it, and I just want to be clear. It was part of an invoice that was about 15,000. It wasn't $15,000 just for that palm tree. Just so we understand. All right.
All right. Who is
No,
Martin?
it was part of a larger invoice.
Martin, did you remember this discussion, Martin?
Yes, I remember.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. Let's move forward then.
So I do have a point that was kind of mentioned where this was kind of like in conjunction with Dell Webb and the $500 a month for the sign.
Yep.
Which brings us to the point of we have the space and there were multiple signs up there at the time. So a thought was, and I did reach out and I have to kind of finish the conversation with you guys as far as I'll just put it out there.
Yeah, that's the
We have the wall that runs that you see from I-75 that has the Dell Webb sign, excuse me, and that they pay $500 a month for to rent that space. We used to have another sign next to it that was actually ours that came down. And the thought was amongst some people on the board was, is it possible to approach other entities to see if that's a viable income stream, if we can rent more space on the wall? So that, now, I don't know if we can, if we're legally allowed to or whatever, but it was just a thought that came up that I wanted to present to say, is there some option to look to say, we already do it. So if we can't do it, we have to stop doing it, but we're already doing it, where we're renting Dell Webb. That's how I look at it, the space in the wall to put their banner.
Is there an agreement with Dell Webb right now?
So there isn't, and we're jumping into my manager's report because I was.
Okay, all right, sorry, but
No, I don't mind. So just to let you know, we did reach out to Dell Webb. You might recall the ask was that, yes, we'll look to get into an agreement with you, $500 a month, but we were interested in having them basically pay for the previous 12 months that the signs have been there longer than
yeah, they've
12
been
months.
there for
But we were basically going for at least a year. They were not interested in doing that just because they didn't have an agreement on file.
sure,
They were absolutely fine with obviously
going forward.
going forward. So yes or no, we don't have an agreement. We've specifically, we've done an agreement right up the, well, not right up the road, an hour up the road, very similar. So it's not unheard of, but
Yeah.
I'll defer to your attorney for the legality of any of that. And
The agreement that you did in the other community, was that with the developer or was that with another?
it was a home builder. It was between a resident board and an adjacent community that was, that the home builder was essentially, they were using kind of a common entryway, similar. And so they were placing signs in the ground actually. And so the board said, you're not going to put those on our CDD easement. And so they came to an agreement basically. And it was $500 a month and similar concept.
And what is the thought process in terms of what you would use the income for?
We didn't want to talk about.
Yeah,
it.
we didn't get that far. We wanted to see if it was a viable.
It came up because they told us, through our management company, hey, can you tell your residents by e-blast they're not welcome to walk, in our community? And then, Ron was walking by with that in mind a month later, so said, I wonder if, they know the signs on our wall. And so that discussion came up and we voted as a board to remove the sign. Because we're not welcome there, the sign's not welcome on our wall. That was the logic. And that came to be, they realized they actually liked the sign there and willing to pay money for it. So that's how we are here today.
Yeah,
Is there some restriction in terms of that income?
I don't know if there's a restriction, and then this just came up
right.
recently, so I did take off for the holidays, so I haven't had a chance to look into it, and I will, but I guess my concern is, A, you're not a for-profit type of entity.
Right.
So you need to be cautious about where you're getting money from and for what purpose.
About for receiving funds for the future operation and maintenance of the wall that the signs could damage, could discolor because they're covering certain areas, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing that there's probably not going to be some specific thing that says, no, you can't do that. But you need to be cautious about what money you're getting and how you're using it, because you can't turn a profit, right?
Right.
And then I think it's also important to look at what your roles and responsibilities are as the CDD board. And that is, to maintain the property. And I mean, I think there might be a place for that to offset the cost, as Andy said, of maintaining the wall. I would be concerned, I guess, if I were an owner, that there's.
Yeah, we're not trying to make it look NASCAR, like all the way down the wall, but.
Wall, and why, we're sort of turning a private community into some sort of commercial type of operation. So.
There were two signs there before. There's no bushes where the signs were. And now we have no landscaping there and a blank wall where there used to be two banners. Now there's just one banner.
So let me look into it a little bit further, and we'll talk about it next month. Like I said, I'm guessing I'm not going to find anything that's going to say, no, you can't do that. But
We could clearly just think about it, say, we'll keep funds to repair the wall if there's any damage from the sign, and any funds raised we use for landscaping for, the betterment of the property. No one saw the money as extra. We figured it was just gonna get absorbed in the budget somewhere.
Yeah.
So,
And then the question is, are you gonna put restrictions on who can advertise on?
well, that's why I asked you, I'm like, who can advertise, for what reasons, for what, and then it's,
People in the community who are like, oh, I have a business, can I
Right.
put my sign on the wall? And then, I assume there's some limitation on the amount of space that you have.
sure.
I think you're getting into what could be a project.
Okay,
Because you're gonna have to figure out who can be there, how big can their sign be, who's gonna approve the sign, what does the sign look like, who's gonna maintain the sign,
sure.
how long can the sign be there? Can it be permanent? Can it be a year? Right? Or are you gonna cycle through different? There's a lot of considerations in terms of that. I don't know any communities that do it. I mean, Danny mentioned one.
I know a few others that do it, but,
For developers or for,
I've only seen home builders on the wall. And I know of someone, it's down, that's going towards Northport. I know that the builder is not that developer. So there's some other builder who's building down the road. It's got a sign with the arrow that hooks. And they say, I'll make it up like Centex Homes, 2
Right.
miles down on the right. And they're actually advertising not for that development. So, yeah, it's like Dell Webb. They're not this development, but yet they're on the wall. Yeah,
okay, well, let me look into it.
thank you. That's all. And you might,
Has anybody inquired, like, you don't have any, like, a list of?
no, I came up with a list of people I would ask, but no one has asked us that I know of. Just Dell Webb. And if I'm not mistaken, that Dell Webb sign is a newer one that calls out.
It's not here. It's not Bayview, it's Dell Webb somewhere else.
Yeah, so it's not even for this. I think they took that sign down and put the new one. That's for,
Yeah, it's pretty-
that's for the new all not 55 and older one. Dell Webb's doing an open one that's not 55 and older. And that's what I believe that's what's advertising for that one. And that's not even in the area.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we'll move into staff reports. First, we have engineer. I didn't have anything separate from your engineer. I don't believe they're in attendance on the teams, but I will ask them because I'm not sure. I don't have everybody's name. Is anybody from the engineering firm on the line?
And
Doesn't seem like it. So we have,
Angie,
I'm sorry?
Are we following the agenda? Because I think landscaping was first. We're not done with landscaping. We have a couple of proposals.
I had landscaping next.
Okay, perfect. All right, my bad then, my bad.
No worries. So no additional engineering report. However, we do have 3 or 4 items that we're working on, both that were brought up in the meeting and a couple items that came up outside of the meeting that I've got to speak with your engineer on, specifically related to mitigation monitoring and reporting. And I know you guys have some history of going through. You have a vendor currently that there were some changes to. Mitigation monitoring basically rolls off in 5-year cycles. So possibly I need to speak with your engineer to find out exactly what the scope should be. And then I'll get with the vendor because we've got 3 invoices right now, which I'm pretty confident are overcharging you, it looks like, just from a clean look at it. So that being said, nothing additional from the engineer. Certainly those items, if you want to talk about any of those items tonight, I'm happy to take everything back to the engineer.
Well, I mean, people should know, for the record, that the number of issues that they were working on, the Hilger property, the erosion, Moonsail, multiple properties, the drainage issue, the signs to restrict and identify areas where people shouldn't be walking and motorbiking behind people's houses, the signs for the cul-de-sacs. The one small issue I mentioned to you, Andy, about the map, and a particular resident who was wondering if an area could not be mowed because it's kind of odd to mow it and just let it grow back wild because it's right along the woods line and it's mowed. So those are things outstanding. The engineer was gonna sort of put on a map. And then an engineer quit his company. And last month, we talked about, the new engineer was on the phone and we reiterated these things and it seemed like the company had no idea pretty much what we were talking about. So the guy who left either didn't have a debrief when he left and give him hand over all the projects or whatever. So at the last meeting, I said to them on the phone, make a long story short, we don't need to talk about this tonight. Call me and I get you up to speed on all the projects and hopefully you have the files and you can just keep moving. And I wasn't contacted. So I would just ask that you, as a person who manages our vendors,
Yep.
reach out to them and get things moving again.
Absolutely. Okay. Fair enough. So that'll move us into field manager. So, of course, Gary's here. And as Rabah just referenced, we have a number of proposals for your consideration this evening. Basically, Exhibit 2 through Exhibit 6. Most of them were landscaping, the first 4. And Rabah, I didn't know if you wanted to speak to any of those particular ones, or, obviously we can go kind of right down.
Yeah. So the first one, estimate 5999. I see the reports from Gary about the landscaping, the fungus, which he already received an email from the landscapers. They did treat the community yesterday and they fertilized it. That was in the program, so we don't have to worry about that one. We don't need no estimates for that because we're already paying for it. I saw a couple ideas from Gary too, from the second entrance and some areas in the amenity center. That's exactly what I approved for last time, was the $15,000. So the second entrance, I don't, did they start working on it or not yet?
They did, I believe. I saw guys out there planning stuff,
Yeah.
the last couple of days.
They've
So
done it.
today,
So,
there's a guy out here.
Yeah.
Right here.
So-
It's in line.
so that's going to cover the island by the amenity center, the roundabout, whatever you're going to call it, the entrance of the amenity center, the rocks and the palm tree that William didn't know about in the entrance, and then the second entrance completely is going to be redone. So my thing is the estimate 5999. We can skip it for the moment. We need to take step at a time. There's no rush. We're already working on a lot of these areas. So I would definitely skip the first estimate.
Okay. So, with skipping it, do we want to bring it back up at the next meeting, table it until another time, or just hold off completely?
Yeah, just hold off completely until we see what we're gonna do better there. I mean, it's literally a lot of them, like a lot of those plants over there, they're not dead, but like it just, it's not needed immediately. But we work with the one we just approved, the one I just approved, the $15,000, that was needed. So we have a little bit of time.
Fair enough. All right. And then how
Estimate,
about oh, go ahead. I'm
estimate-
sorry, Rob.
you're good. Estimate 6105, that's to take down the palm tree by the amenity center. We should do that one because we don't need the palm, it's completely dead. So I'm gonna motion to approve that one.
Do you have a second to that particular motion?
I second it.
Okay, seconded. And any discussion on this one? This is item 5B2B for $285. If there's nothing additional.
Is this the one right outside the screened area? That's in that.
Yeah, right
over
here. Yeah.
Is that cut the stump or is that stump removal?
This is
Flush
flush
cut.
cutting of
Cut
the
the
dead
ground.
palm. Yep. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That motion carries.
Now, estimate 6108, they give an estimate to remulch after the planting, remulch the amenity center, all the mulch over there in the second entrance. The estimate was 9,000 and some, and I said, no, I can remulch the entire community for 20,000. And today, late, they send another estimate giving us $7,000 to do that, which I still think, in my opinion, we don't need it right now. If we're gonna do that, we can, again, get the entire community for $20,000. But I don't know what the other board members think about that.
I thought we wanted to change to something other than pine bark.
We're gonna have to remove everything. It's gonna cost us more.
There's nothing we can use with pine bark, just go over it?
Well,
No.
I mean, didn't we just replace all the mulch not even a year ago?
Yeah, a mulch, I'm not asking you to approve it. I'm just asking for your opinion. So by opinion, it says, I'm saying, no, I don't want to do it. That's what I'm asking you guys.
Rabah, it's wrong. I would say I would want to do it because I looked at the back entrance island. Remember where where on the side of the road where they always had that broken sprinkler line,
Right.
the one that we actually did. And it's
Right.
exposed. All the sprinkler lines are exposed. So they didn't dig them in the ground and they don't dig them in. They just put mulch over them. So if we don't put mulch over them now, those lines are just going to stay exposed. They're going to rot in the sun and they're going to break again. And it just looks stupid to have them exposed. So,
All right, so,
I mean,
so the
Go ahead, I'm
correct
sorry.
number is $7,000 or $770. So 77, say it is $8,000 to do
Yeah.
all that. The entire amenities, and I can forward it to you right now, Andy. You
Yeah, I'm
send it
just
to me.
saying is, I don't think we just paid to do all this work with the landscaping. They reran lines for us, which it looked, I'm sure it'll be great. I just think we should just finish it off. I understand what you're saying that for,
All right,
for that little area.
Does
okay.
it include the round pool? You say just yet.
So what's that 7,700 include?
It's gonna be it's gonna be the pool, the all around the amenity center and the second entrance.
Too bad.
Yeah, I think we do.
I just sent it to you, Andy.
Okay.
How many total yards?
There's 111.
It says
Uh,
111.
Can I
It's
ask
100.
a question? Not allowed, but.
Yeah, I mean, I'll defer to the board, but typically we want the
You're the
board to discuss it
chair.
because
We're just gonna shoot us a quick question. I heard you say about replacing with something else, okay? It's gonna cost you more up front, but we have to get all the mulch out of the pool when you have a major windstorm, if you put some sort of heavy stone in it. Okay, I don't know if that's an idea, but I know it's gonna cost you up front,
That's not
but every year, you're not gonna have to put mulch down. It's gonna cost you up front, and then you're not gonna have all the mulch float on the sidewalk or in the pool. I mean, that's just something I'm throwing out.
Understood.
I
Understood.
think this is actually outside the clubhouse, so around it,
Okay.
but what the other proposal, that we're skipping over for right now until we get more information, that one would be looking at change, as far as what's inside,
Okay.
changing to something other than the pine bark. The issue was last year when we replaced everything, there is better and cheaper mulch than pine bark. But then the problem is we're not replacing everything. So then we would have
Some pine bark.
some
Some other
coconut or whatever.
Changing everything, even, one year you did inside and the next year you did out. You don't have some major storm goes through, you know how your line.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, well, every which way.
I actually,
So a
I
lot
think
of-
now.
So a lot of communities-
Doing that back entrance, we have held off for years. Andy, are all the builders done in here?
as far as I know, I haven't heard differently.
Oh, there's one more new house being built right next to where the Midland Show House.
Okay, well, there you go.
But do we know if they're still using that back entrance?
No phone.
We held off on dealing with the construction damage for Breaker Lane. Because the builder, we were told by previous management companies that it was gonna be a one and done, and if they're still in here building and they damage it again, then they're not going to fix it again. So we had held off of going to all four builders, not the developer, but the builders, and saying, hey, will you contribute to fixing the irrigation and to dealing with that back entrance, one, for the aesthetics of the community, and two, the fact that a lot of that irrigation that was being damaged
Right on the
was
side.
from their their construction vehicles not being able to turn and literally going right over the curb. And so, would some, I mean, obviously the mulch isn't gonna be part of that, but as far as some of the replacement that we're doing and the cost of the irrigation, could we now look at going to those 4 builders and asking them to contribute to that? Because they don't have any sign off with us. It was the developer.
Yeah, we can always ask. You just said your expectation has to be that
Yeah.
Well, we're already covering,
Yeah.
so it doesn't hurt to try to recoup.
100%. Yeah, no, I totally get that. Yeah, I mean, there's no problem reaching out.
So to stay in the same page, so mulch, usually communities do it year after year. So you did it last year, you're gonna skip it this year, you do it next year. The gentleman was talking about having rocks in the pool area, that's what he was talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be.
Like a heavier.
So keep in mind, we did only one entrance, a small portion and 2 small portions, the back entrance, and it cost us $15,000. That is not cheap. But there's always other options. Any kind of mulch you can put, we can ask a landscaper to put a mulch glue on it. It will never wash away. It's a specific kind of glue for mulch. Any kind of mulch. It doesn't matter. Chips, coconut, whatever it is going to be there. It will never move away. So that's going to be probably the cheapest option. But if you guys want to do rocks, we can look into that. But to switch from this kind of mulch we have now, because I did talk to this guy, say we can always add the coconut mulch on the top of it. After it rains, it's going to disappear, and you're going to see both of the mulches, and it's going to look ugly. For us to do it properly, we have to remove everything we have now, then install the other kind of mulch, which it is cheaper. But when you add the cost of removal of the current mulch, it's going to be a big number. So whatever you guys want.
So just to add one more thing as well, and I know because we have a number of proposals beyond even just landscaping. We don't have anything specific for mulch in your budget right now. There are plenty of dollars in your budget, but I want to mention these things at these times because we're still kind of early in the year. So if we do these things, I just want you to be aware that we might come to a point where either we have to dip into contingency reserve, something like that. Which again, you have plenty of funds, but just
Right, we don't want to burn through it,
I'm
but.
kind of raise my hand to let
And
you
that's
know.
perfect, and appreciate that. But just to my point, and I didn't drive past it today, or yesterday, all the lines were exposed. Like you
Sure.
can't do that. Like if we said, hey, look, community, we put all these new flowers in. Oh, don't mind that we didn't put mulch there and all the sprinkler lines are showing. Just, we'll get that next year.
Back there, a lot of them have been showing anyway.
Yeah, so-
The construction damage, but.
What do you guys want?
What do you think, Gary, that point?
In my experience, rocks in the pool don't mix. Kids throw them in the pool. It's not a great idea, in my experience.
Yeah, I've had similar.
But back to the point, do we want to take Rabah said that for estimate 6108, he's got a different price of 7,700, say 78. Do we want to do that to put the pine bark mulch around the back here of the pool, up on the second entrance?
It's going to be all the areas that have mulch in the pool, in the amenity center, and the second entrance. Andy, did you receive the proposal?
I did. I have it right here. So if the board is interested, we're just looking for a motion to approve estimate 6108. And if not, obviously we don't need a motion, but that's the next tangible step if you so desire.
What you guys want to do?
If you don't.
Well, I'm thinking even if we waited to, readdress this next month, what does that really do? What change does that make? What besides punting it another month from now? I would make a motion to approve it and go for it.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Now, any additional discussion?
Yeah, I just wanted to make the point. The only reason why I put it to motion is I just don't want it exposed. Like, if you guys think that the community is gonna be okay with that, please don't vote for it. I'm just doing it because my 2 cents is that if you guys haven't seen it, you guys will tomorrow. I guarantee everyone's gonna look. All the lines are just sitting on the top. That's
So
all.
were we informed by the landscaper that it was UV damage that damaged it? I mean, why they all crumbled and.
No one actually has.
I thought I heard that.
It might, I'm not sure if that's an exact, but yeah, I know that happens.
I think
we all.
I think that may have been what was along the wall on the
Yeah,
inside.
not that.
But this
That
one,
was, most of that's truck damage,
Yeah.
really, the front, so when you
Sure.
make the front part, that you can actually see was sunk in, that was truck damage, but if we have the UV damage on the wall, that is the same stuff that's over there now, that's the reason why I made the motion for it.
Any additional discussion?
So so the landscapers were saying after they plant that, they're gonna have to move mulch and it's gonna look ugly. That's my point. Like, if I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do the entire thing. But since, I mean, Ronnie, you have a good point too. You don't want it to be exposed and ugly at the same time. That's the only reason I'm saying I'm seconding it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any, any opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously. All right, now we've got one for a removal and replacement of a magnolia tree and splash pine trees at the lift station for $1,600.
So this one was the one we asked him to revise it, if you guys remember that. I mean, those trees need to be replaced and those bushes by the lift station need to be gone as well. So $1,600, I think we should do it.
Yeah, so just to be clear, the lift station is right up front. And there seems to be a couple little, trees around it. We're replacing one
No,
of them.
we are not replacing the bushes around the gate. All that is gonna be gone. Because there's already a fence over there and it's a fence.
placing
The
one
trees,
magnolia and 4 pine trees, so 5 trees total.
Okay.
the trees that are gonna be replaced is the dead trees we have next to that place.
So do we know if there's any requirement that we have to have shrubbery and trees around that?
No, there's
No.
none.
It's aesthetic.
Aesthetics.
Okay.
Yeah, but if we're removing the bushes around it and just dealing with the tree, pine trees don't provide any aesthetics. They grow straight up. They don't grow wide. A magnolia tree
Takes forever.
is gonna, and actually the magnolia tree is not even right by it, is it? So, I mean, is this really?
No, I don't.
Those
is this
trees,
really
those trees are
improving
right
any
there.
aesthetics?
Those
just
trees are right
replacing.
there right now and they're already dead. They're right there
Yeah, but
and
what I'm
dead.
saying is, yeah, we should remove them, but what are we gaining by actually replacing them? If there's no aesthetics to it, and so, I mean, I guess the question is, although I don't know what the cost would be just to remove it.
You have to remove them, but is there something else besides the pine trees that you want to plant?
Yeah, like shrubbery, yeah.
Shrubbery. A large shrub.
You guys want to remove the trees without replacing them? Is that what we're saying?
Well, maybe determine whether should we replace with trees or should we replace with something that we can put around it, like a kind of like a hedge or shrub
If you're trying
that
to
will
screen,
that will screen
you
it.
could do a viburnum or podocarpus. I mean, those grow quickly and they're
So-
pretty inexpensive. Although this is a
So-
low price.
I mean, the price, yeah, we could do both too. We could replace these and then do something. It's not super expensive. And team has to come out to remove the dead ones. We're not going to keep dead trees around. So, I mean, if we said, hey, just remove this stuff. What's that 1,600 going to be? 1,000? Might as well just do it, and then we can revisit putting hedges, shrubs, or something around it.
Yeah, to visit it later on as far as what you want to put in.
In addition to this,
Mhm.
I think we do.
What is it? So wait a second, those trees are completely, those trees are completely far from the
You're
lift
saying
station.
remove and replace, and then if we want to put something else later.
Because if we're worried about why they just remove, my point is, if we remove something, I think we should have something there.
You should
And you're still gonna pay about $1,000 out of that 1,600 just to remove it.
Well, the option would be do this as it is, remove and replace.
Okay.
And then consider something
Yeah, that's
additional later,
Yeah.
or go back and say remove and replace with something else now. So either way, you're taking advantage that you're not paying just to remove and then paying a higher cost to replace later. So it's one or the other. Either we remove and replace the trees that are there, or we look to see if they'll give an estimate to remove and plant something else.
I'm inclined
So,
to do that.
wait a second. The real question is, why are we repeating ourselves every single meeting? We did have this conversation last meeting, and I was the one who said, hey, we can just take them down and put nothing else. And everyone else said, no, we should put something to replace it. And then now it's an issue.
No. Rob, I think what we're getting at is we most of us agree we want to remove, and if we remove something, we want to replace it. But then we think
Exactly.
maybe, and we could additionally put other stuff, and we'll just revisit that next time. So just to keep it.
I have to be honest. Like, it seems like we are agreeing on something every single meeting, and after the meeting, somebody comes and start questioning those things. Again, if you have something to say, stick it to the meeting. You say it and stick to it, and we're going to move forward with it. Not every meeting we're going to question and have bumps about every little things here and there. That's what we talked last time. We said, are we going to take them down? I said that, and we ended up we agreed to no, we take them down and we put something else to replace them. And then now it's
Fair
an
enough.
issue now.
It's not an issue. Fair enough. All right, so
All
I'll
right.
make a motion to approve estimate 5992 for $1,600 to remove and replace the one dead magnolia and replace the 4 dead /pine trees.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously. And then we had item E is a clubhouse rescreening project, which was included in your meeting package on agenda page 37. And this is to rescreen the whole room over there with a lot of detail about basically better quality screening for the area. The total cost was,
There was 3 estimates on them, Andy.
oh,
There's
there's
three-
different options. I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah, so I was working with this guy. It's the same guy who did our landscaping rocks. And when we saw the screens, of course, he said the screens we have currently now, I don't know if you guys had a chance to see them or not. Actually, there was rips in a lot of sections of the screen currently. And he said that's, as of now, the screening company, they don't even offer that kind of screen because it's the cheapest quality. And I said, hey, I think there is guys that cut it, kids that cut it from outside. He said there's no way. After he checked it, he said some kid either bumped into it or they hit something, so that's what it got ripped. So the proposals we see here, we have a proposal to only rescreen the gaming room. The second one is to rescreen the gaming room with I think kick plates in the bottom. So only rescreening is 3,200. Screening with kick plates is going to be 3,700. If we want add screen and frames to the open area by the patio is going to be an extra $3,000. If you guys want to do that, of course.
Rabah, have you seen what the kick plates look like?
So
Is
what
it
he
just a-
told what he told me he's going to do. See the bar we have now in the bottom. See so what are they going to do? They're going to drop it to the bottom, or it's going to fit the normal size of a kick plate.
Rob, do we know what gauge they're gonna use? How thick?
Which are the screen?
No, on the kick plate. How thick of aluminum?
I have no clue, but it must be a standard one because they're gonna have to buy. So this is what it is. He said, if you guys want them higher, I'm gonna end up making special cuts for you guys, and aluminum is not cheap. It's gonna cost more money. But he said the cheapest way to do it is to the bar in the middle of each screen is gonna lower it to where it fits a normal kick plate. To be honest with you guys, that won't make it different. It just a screen. It's a cheap screen we have currently. So
So,
me
but
personally,
just so I understand, is there gonna be screen all the way to the floor and then the kick plate over it? Because the kick plate's not gonna,
No.
They generally frame it
So
out.
what
they're
they're
gonna
saying
hang
is
out the whole
the
window?
bar that's there now, they're gonna lower
Yeah,
to the level of the
Of the
kick
kick-
plate,
gotcha.
and then it would be
but there's no
screened
screen,
off.
so it's gonna be completely sealed. That kick plate's gonna be,
It's gonna
The,
be
the kick plate will be on the bottom, and that will be it, the bar, and then off of that bar up will be all screen, solid screen.
okay. So but the kick plate-
which him himself told me it's basically there's no reason for it. It just the current screen we have now, which is a cheap quality screen.
There's no reason.
But it's up to you guys. Huh?
Are you saying there's no reason for the kick plate?
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna be paying some extra money because the cake plate is gonna be. See, I don't know. Did you before I left? I saw somebody did put a kind of a aluminum piece. That's how probably big it's gonna be.
Got it. Okay.
I mean, if somebody's gonna cut it, it's gonna cut it anyway. You know.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
if
just-
they're gonna try to go
It's 2
through
feet.
the screen.
Yeah, my point is,
yeah.
if we're using the kick plate to defer somebody from going through the screen,
They'll go
the kick plate's 2 feet off the ground. You just cut it
Yeah,
out.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay. So we're saying option one,
Option one.
and
That's
then the
what I
last would
think
be.
Okay.
And the last one is: do you guys want to rescreen the entire covered area? I mean, not
That's an idea.
rescreen, put a screen.
On the other side where you walk in through. I don't know, I
Yeah,
don't
all
walk there
those-
enough to. have an opinion.
All those columns, and since we're having the project to move the door, the column between the door and that column is going to be only halfway screened, so we can have the gate later. And it's always, if there's no gate later, we can always add a door. It won't be a problem.
I would just
So
do
read-
option one.
Uh,
So, Devin, your opinion, we're looking at the additional request part. You know, the screen, is that, I don't come up here, so I'm not here with that.
So I like the idea, but I put it in the category of, like Andy was saying earlier, like punt down the road later in the year. 'Cause it's not, we're not seeing a savings here, do it all at once, save extra.
Sure.
Right? It's just punch list, right? I mean, one's not affected by the other. We need to probably replace those screens because they're falling down and we could just, we could punt it down the road.
Okay, so
We're
we
not
just,
missing or losing anything, really.
Yeah. so we just want, are we saying option one? I'll make a motion for,
Really, option one's you're gonna go screens all the way to the ground with no kick plate?
oh, yeah, all right, sorry, I didn't know you weren't up. I'm
Well,
sorry.
Okay, so that's fine. I just want to make sure I knew. that-
Yeah, so the option two with the kick plate, if anyone was gonna cut into the screen, the kick plate was 2 feet off the ground.
Yeah, no, it was more so than like kids are messing around at the bus stop is right there and they're throwing football around and stuff and it's so, you know, ball rolling on the ground. It would bounce off the kick plate instead of the screen, but not for security purposes. It's just, the kick plates are generally for just accident. You know, like, you got the game room on the inside and people are throwing chess pieces around and whatnot, so that would be my only reason.
I mean, it's only a $500 difference. I don't have a.
But if you guys don't think that's,
way.
it doesn't cost a lot to replace a broken screen either, especially if it's not torn. If it's just popped out, it's just zip it back in. So, want to make a motion for the first one. I'm cool with that.
So what do you guys want? What do you want, Kevin?
I'll go with the
like-
first one.
I mean, I can see the logic behind the capable.
Right.
Make a motion there, Martin, what do you want?
All right, I'll make a motion. We do the first option, rescreening all the existing game room screens with 2020, no seeing.
All right, so we have a motion for option number one. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries unanimously. All right, so moving into item C, your attorney's report. Michelle, I'll go ahead and give you the floor.
Okay, so we had a couple of violations last month, so I just wanted to handle those real quick. We sent suspension notices to 2 owners. One of them was sent December 10th, and they were invited to attend the January this meeting. That went to 11767 Moonsail Drive. Regarding minors in the facilities, in the pool area. They used the key fob for the tenants and the minors entered the property. They were running on the pool deck, diving in the pool, wrestling, other horseplay, and other generally problematic conduct. So their access rights were suspended. They had the opportunity to attend today. So anybody from 11767 Moonsail Drive? Okay. Does the board want to continue that suspension in place? Any thoughts on
Has it been, when was the act of the incident?
the incident? Would have been, I don't know if I have the date of the incident.
Usually we
would
just go 30 days and I don't know, is this a problematic repeat customer, if you will? Kevin, you know?
I have a hard time keeping these all in my head at this point. We were supposed to have the reports in front of us. You know, so you can look it up.
Not done.
Well, no, I mean, they were sent. This was part of the group that was sent a day or two ago.
Okay.
So I don't know, I don't think they're in this, or if they're typically
No.
put in this, but I don't know if anybody, you guys.
Yeah, I think
Them more printed.
I looked at it.
it's the,
What's the last name? Can you tell us so that they can know for pulling us?
Yeah, the owner's name is
Down.
Chensi Tian, and the tenant, I believe it's a tenant, is Amanda Gallen.
Yeah.
And I don't have a date of the incident. I had,
So just, this is where we're having a little disconnect on process. You know, Andy, just the idea of we providing this report, you know,
November
turning it
15th.
around, getting it to the board, and then maybe adopting the process of sending out the letter. So that all the information is there and the right person with the right violations. There was a second one that was noticed for today, a third one, I'm sorry, 2 from Michelle and 1 that you guys sent just 2 days ago. Okay.
I think Andy's gonna start, his office is.
But you're already seeing, so what I'm saying is there was a third that wasn't told about tonight as well.
Is that the Alexander one?
No, I have the Alexander
No,
one.
that was a good one.
Okay.
You guys sent it in the group in the group of them that was sent, not the 3 that needed further revisions. They were given 11.
Okay.
I mean, I can pull up these emails, but I didn't expect to have to do that.
Yeah, I apologize for that. I know we had talked before the meeting. I thought that they had all been sent out, but understand that there are 3 of them that have sent out, circulated among the board. I understand there were 3 of the recent ones that had not.
Let's, can we finish the 2 that we've got and then we'll.
Sure,
talk about the
sure,
process
sure.
and kind of move this along. Okay, so we've got this owner and tenant at 11767. They were sent a notice of the violation and of the suspension on December 10th, invited to come here tonight. Obviously, they're not here tonight. I did not get any response from them. So they've had a suspension in place for, approximately 30 days, 28 days now, 29 days. Do you want to continue it or do you want to?
Here's the thing on process as well. reaches out by phone to the person who had a credential and has a phone number and email on record, there has to be some communication with the person. Acknowledgement that there had a conversation.
Sure.
From our side that says, this is what was observed, this is why you got the letter. This should happen before they get over. It's almost, as soon as the report is turned around. They're called, it is explained to them. The vast majority of the people will say in that conversation, oh, I had no idea that was a rule. And then you explain to them, well, that's understandable, but not acceptable because you signed something that says you follow the rules. We'll email you a copy of the rules. This is going to get brought up before the board. We appreciate your feedback if you'd like to come. A lot of these people say, I'm so sorry, please send the rules, won't happen again. And it never happens again. And we have that feedback from you from that phone call when we're having this discussion. That's, what we're hoping for.
Okay.
So we know that they've been spoken to. There's a very rare circumstance or two where the feedback comes back. They were completely FU. I didn't do nothing wrong. And the board, when we heard that, we think a little bit differently about whether or not they're going to just continue the similar behavior. And, we've used that as a board to make a decision. Right now, I'm not sure the board really knows anything.
Yeah.
So make a decision.
Yeah, and that's fine. And that process is fine. I can tell you just from my experience that typically what I've seen happen, and again, whatever the process you guys want is great, but usually if you're having a letter go out either from district council or I know we're switching it to the management company, at least typically with districts, they send out the letter. It's telling the person what they violated. It's telling them what meeting to come to. And typically that's it. The onus is left on the resident to reach out if they have questions, come to the meeting, that sort of thing. Again, I'm happy with whatever, you guys as a board want to do, but I'm just telling you what's typical.
Well, this is how it was done. And we all came to understand this process. Or we were all new to this process, and it seemed to be a very friendly, community-oriented discussion type approach.
Okay.
People
Kevin.
a lot of timers. Yeah.
Hey, Kevin, so I see what you're trying to say. At this point, if we reached out to them through mail and they didn't respond, you know what? It's up to them. We just have to do what we have to do. I know we're trying to be, huh?
But what is that? Since they didn't reach out, we don't know if they got the messages, presuming they do, because that's the contact information they provided. So what you're saying though, we just say, okay, yeah, it's been 30 days, so we just lift the suspension for them?
So just use my same example of other communities.
Mm-hmm.
So if we send out a letter, or if the attorney did, and if they respond back, we give the feedback to the board. That helps with your decision making. If they didn't respond back, at least typically, just speaking with other boards, they would leave the suspension in place for a designated amount of time. At that point, you might find that hypothetically you make it for 90 days. You might find that after 45 days, Mrs. Smith comes up here, realizes it's not working. Oh, I ignored that letter because it came from the district. I don't read those. Then they wind up calling us and saying, oh my gosh, I didn't realize. Maybe they're apologetic, or maybe they do lambast us or whatnot. But again, in a lot of cases, the burden is left on the resident because they're the one that have violated the rules, and we put them on notification. Mm-hmm. Again, just telling you how typically it works. But there's no problem with reaching out. I think you're just doing an extra step that maybe I don't know. All
right. Well, I'll go on record and say I like the step. I appreciated that they reached out to these folks and had a personal conversation and just tried to phone them for a couple of times. That was my understanding of what you were going to do in my correspondence when I outlined how this used to go. You guys were comfortable with it. So that's what I think makes sense, unless the board agrees that we don't do that, and then that's fine as well. I think that then we should establish right now. It's different situation if they come. than if they just never respond in any way, shape, or form. So if we want to say, okay, well, then we do it, when this happens, we send it out, when we send it out by letter and we get nothing, it gets ignored, then we tack on 60 days and then restore it. Like, we have to do something different than when they actually come here and say, yep, I dropped the ball, I'm sorry. This was my side of the story, but now I realize the rule's the rule, you know, that's generally what happens. Sometimes they just don't understand and they come here and kind of make a case and then it's explained to them, this is why we have to do this. Sometimes we give them some history, everybody learns, everyone goes home happy.
Sure.
To be honest, me personally, I would like to just, you send them a notice. It's up to them. It's their responsibility to get their mail and open their mail and know what's on it. You don't reply, we're gonna continue with stopping their access to amenity center for whatever certain days you guys gonna agree on.
Right. So I think we agree, at least Rob and I agree on that. If you guys agree on that, let's set that, how many days that is.
You, that's the next step. Total agreement. As far as the time frame, you want to set a X number of days, or you want to do a 30 until they respond.
Oh, right. You do 30 and we'll take it up at the next meeting and no one's ever heard anything. And
Yeah, because if we say 60 days, they might not even come up here, even though they were.
Right. And then of course with every meeting having to revisit.
Yeah.
So, Andy, you said 60, 90, those are not unheard of kind of suspension?
Yeah, correct. I mean, I'll defer to counsel if there's any reason not to, but it's not unreasonable. You know, obviously, if there was some very flagrant, let's say destruction of some sort, then we could deal with that on a case-to-case basis. Say, hey, this one, you know, it's until they pay for the damages or something.
So if we say 90 days and they respond, do they get their quote unquote time to speak to us again?
I think they always get due process.
Okay.
If they respond at any time during it, we basically, and again, I'll defer to Michelle as the legal expert here, but you know, generally speaking, they reach out and we say, okay, yeah, you must have missed on the letter that you were invited last month. Here's our next meeting. And we invite them out to have that due process.
Yeah, they can always come to a meeting. I mean, it's a public meeting.
Yeah, yeah.
I was gonna suggest that if somebody doesn't respond, or if they do respond and you still feel like the behavior warranted some additional penalty, that you extend the suspension. I think 60 to 90 days for this circumstance is perfectly reasonable. And we can send a letter saying that, we had a hearing, you didn't attend, so your suspension has been continued for 90 days or so.
So I like the approach, I'm convinced. So writing, they don't respond, we come to a meeting like this, never heard from them, we'll go 90. And presumably at some point in that period of time, right, they come here and like, oh, I had no idea, ignore the message, whatever, they call you, then you have that friendly conversation, well, this is why, and we sent you 2 letters, and then you can respond, you can kind of fill me in or everyone in.
Let everybody
how
know.
that goes. And if we want as a board to take at the next meeting 30 days later and say, and revoke and reduce it or whatever, we have the ability to do that.
But wait a second, we need to agree also, if they don't show up in this 90 days, it's going to carry to another 90 days automatically and keep going until somebody shows up.
Do that unless the circumstances warrant. If there's been an additional violation, if there's been some, or if the original violation was so, excessive that you feel like it requires further suspension, I think that's fine. But I would gauge your continuation today based on your view of the behavior that occurred, right? So this was unsupervised entry into the pool, minors in the pool area being a little, running and roughhousing and things like that. Is that a kind of suspension where, you think is worth? It's already been roughly 30 days. So, is a total suspension of 120 days sufficient for that type of behavior? Or do you think a year is sufficient for that type of behavior? I mean, if I saw, damage in the pool,
yeah, but it's tough because it's acknowledgement. All we're looking for is acknowledgement. And Rabah's point is, if they just continue to just ignore the fact that they've had a violation, what's
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's exactly my point. My point is not to, it's the punishment is not to punish it. It's to bring their attention, and we need to talk to them that what you're doing is not right. But if these people keep ignoring us, ignoring the letters and the action we're taking, we're going to be circling in the same circle nonstop.
Well, why don't we then, let's hold on that, because when we get into this process of speculating as to what's going to happen, there's a lot of paths that you can go down, and we don't know what that's going to look like. Because right now we've talked about some different ways to address some of the issues that you're having at the pool. So we need to talk about that next, and then we need to implement those ideas. And so this could, in 90 days, things could look a lot different, right? So let's start with tonight, and let's talk about these two, and then we're going to circle back to the officer's comments and how you want to handle that. And then in 90 or 60 or 90 days or whatever it is, if we've got, if we still haven't had any response, or we're having, renewed issues, we can look at, hey, do we want to continue these things? Because I just don't think we have enough information right now to make a policy on that.
Rabah, I'm gonna agree with that. I think that makes sense, because you know what, sometimes on occasion, someone whose thing is revoked, and they come and they get in other ways because they don't care. And that gets documented again, you find that out again. And so you could be talking about, within the 90 days, you could be talking about new things to the same.
So we're saying 90 days for this
I'm agreeing with that.
Okay, so I'm gonna notify the owner and the tenant that their suspension was continued for 90 days from the date of this meeting.
So Andrew, what are you guys doing to keep track of that new date? Because the guy that we extended for 2 extra weeks, to my knowledge, still has not been restored. And that was a month ago. And I sent you an email on that.
Okay. Well, what we should do, the easy thing is just to keep a log of it basically and update the dates when it should be reactivated. I'll find out about that one specifically, but that's the easiest way. We'll just keep a log.
All right, and then I had one other one. This was for the incident on
26th.
This was November 26th. The address is 8511 Avalone Loop. Alexander is the last name. And we sent them a notice that there was an adult using their fob for this property that was allowing minors to enter into the facilities, including the pool. Teens entered, remained in the facilities without adult supervision. Additional minors were allowed to enter into the amenities who didn't have their own access card. There were children riding scooters around the pool deck, other disruptive behavior on the pool deck. So they were sent a notice. Their access was suspended, and they were given the opportunity to attend today's meeting and plead their case. I don't believe they're here, 8511 Avalone. We did get an email response from Miss Alexander. She did object to the suspension. Let's see, she just in quick summary, she said she disputed the allegations. She said that there were no minors associated with her household that were unsupervised. Her father was present at all relevant times. Her mother was present most of the time. A minor was permitted entry to obtain drinking water because they were overheated. Let's see, at least 2 of the minors referenced in the notice are residents of the community and were entitled to be present if their mother was present. No property damage, no destructive behavior, no warnings were issued prior to escalation. They admitted to the scooter use, but they said that it occurred maybe one time, and then an adult put an end to the scooter use around the pool. There was no destructive action. So she has asked for video footage. She asked for video footage and any incident reports, police reports, or other communications regarding the matter. And she asked that her credentials be immediately reestablished as of Friday, December 19th. She was told that staff could not lift the suspension, that she had to come to this meeting. She did not want to come. She said she didn't want to come to.
So this is someone, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm wrong, please correct me, that posted on Facebook about the incident, but didn't show up when she was asked to, but she's willing to make it a public issue, but she didn't want to show up in public to discuss it with the people she was supposed to. Also, if I'm not mistaken, she says her kids and her parents were there and her father let the person in. And I respect the fact that, you know, the other kid was thirsty, but did she follow the process and have them as registered guests as well? And, you know, I don't know if she registered her parents as guests to come to be here at the pool because they were over the 4 people that they're allowed. And I'm not trying to nitpick, but what I'm trying to say is there's not just one thing. There's a couple of things like the scooter. I believe she stopped after one. She wants that. But my point is, I'll believe all that. But that's not the point. The point is to have the individual here to say, hey, listen, we're here to discuss these things because we need to, as a community, curb all this stuff. And it wasn't that you just let someone in and it was a one time they ran in the bathroom and ran out. It's the scooter thing. You had guests here who were letting people in. You didn't even follow the rules to register the guests. Now, I'm not saying everyone does that. And I'm not saying I would even have remembered to do that myself. But I'm saying it's multiple things. And that's why we wanted discussion. I respect the fact she responded to you, but none of it was addressed. Not none of it. You know what I mean? Like those issues weren't. And that's where I think we have to say, you know, what do we do as a community? Do we just say, okay, well.
And then the other thing is who is going to take the responsibility of those minors if something happened to them? I'm not talking about her kids, about the one they let in.
Yeah.
So can I put a little bit of context and clarity on this? Because most of what she wrote there is inconsistent in what she posted on Facebook and her social media is entirely inconsistent with the facts of the day as recorded on video and observed.
Okay.
There's a connection here to what was being spoken to with the officer. These were the 2 teens that her father let in were the 2 teens that had one come through the window the day before, and the second day was the subject of the trespass call. I had to come visit. So much of what she had said as well publicly about the person that was there talking to the police is me.
Yeah.
The allegations of racism, power tripping, all of these things, that's me that is being referred to. But the record of the day through the videos and the detailed reports that I provided, which you have yet to receive. Those reports conflict with this idea that he was out in the parking lot playing basketball and was dying of thirst. The report will show that he was sort of hovering, he was with the girl, who the aunt claimed ownership of, up in the top of the playground thing for some time, and then he would occasionally come out and he would go looking at. I talked about this once, maybe because of the police incident, checking the doors, looking for people, hovering, going back again. Finally, he found an eye contact with this Chelsea Alexander's father, waved him over, told him whatever story he told them, and the gentleman let him in. The boy then essentially walked towards the bathrooms for a moment, and then walked back towards the fence. And the other camera shows the girl who's in the thing, attention connection being made. Then she goes to the gate, and he goes and lets her in. Then the 2 of them go and let in 5 10-year-old boys to go swimming on their own, and several other people for the course of the time. That's what got just got me involved because of finding out that these teens were there the day before, and did they break the screen? Did they not? That whole then going through all of this footage was when, okay, well, this is how they got in. They were let in, and had to go and look at everything from the moment they went in to the moment they left. It's just the protocol that we've established. And I found that when she came in with her 3 young children, they rode the scooter through the thing. That's usually like, okay, we document it. But then for 45 minutes, the 3 kids took turns on the scooter, racing laps around the pool. And I'm talking for 45 minutes, every 2 or 3 minutes, another kid on the scooter, jumping in and out of the pool, wet feet, literally running laps in full view of the grandparents. And so this notion that they will quickly stop is not supported by the evidence of the video. So yeah, and she didn't come. She said she wasn't going to come in that letter. So it is what it is. But that's I just wanted you to have a little bit of more on what actually happened, and to mention that I was not happy with being accused of a large number of inappropriate actions while I was there on site. She said that I was angry that the police officers didn't arrest the boy and the girl. And that just didn't happen. And so, that's upsetting to me, coming here on my own time and dealing with this and documenting it very objectively and then hearing stuff that just.
So do you want to make a motion to continue the suspension for,
This is
Yes, obviously.
in categories of this one, 90 days, right?
do you want to make that motion?
Yeah, did we motion and vote on the last one?
We didn't.
I thought we did.
No, I didn't get a motion for that one. So do we want to do it?
Yeah, I would
In total?
do a motion.
For both of them.
You do them separately.
Okay.
So a motion to extend the suspension 90 days for Gallon, I believe. That was the first
Yep.
one.
Yes.
Okay.
90 days from today,
Yes, yes.
I second.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries unanimously. And then we would look for a similar motion for the
I made
next
it
one.
for the same motion for Alexander.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries as well.
So now we have to deal with the third one, Amy, the letter you sent out, but the fact that the letter just went out like yesterday creates new complications for the idea, the notion that this person may not literally be aware of it, and I would be a little bit less comfortable giving them 90 days. The fact that your email or your letter may not even arrive on your doorstep yet.
You're gonna table it until.
Next meeting, which will be 30 days, that's more fair than trying to.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then hopefully you guys have you have that report, actually. That one was straightforward. That was one of the ones that was sent, even though it was very recent. I believe you got that one. It's just the very old ones with complications that have been hard to sort out. That's why you don't have it.
Okay, and then so in follow up to the officer, he had. So the plan is that we're gonna have all 5 board members will be contact people for trespasses.
Right.
So anybody that sees an incident, they'll report it to law enforcement and you all will be contacted unless you initiate that call. And hopefully they will trespass anybody that you tell them to trespass. So you'll want to make sure that you have cause to do that, obviously. Some sort of documentation, and then we should correspond a suspension letter with the trespass. So,
And honestly, usually it's me, who, and Rabah has in the past as well, he's done the same and volunteered to do so, that verifies via camera that a person has come in after hours without a credential, hop the fence, something that warrants calling the police or any, besides that, that's for a potential trespass call. If someone is let in by someone else, we never call the police on them that was trespass.
Right,
We send the notice to the person who let them in
right.
to cut that down. And if we can identify the person that came in somehow, because maybe they did have a card and they used it later, we let them know about it. So just to clarify, everyone else has volunteered to do this. It doesn't happen that often. Like it's the situation is not going to be much different than it is now. There are some circumstances, like I made the judgment call that second day to call in the trespass because they had been there before without using credentials. The second day, same thing. And I thought before I came here that it was a fence jump.
Okay.
And so I was like, okay, here we go, second day. Well, then the detailed review, it was let in by somebody else. But at the time I made the call, second day in a row, trespass, and let's sort it out. As we talked about today, let the officer come, find out if they have a valid address, and if not, So I guess what I'm trying to say is, I don't see you guys necessarily getting involved in too many of these unless it happens to be one of these. They want to know a board member's name when
Sure.
someone calls because someone's on the bench, like that incident,
Right.
and they start running through a list. The first person's asleep, the second,
Gotcha.
and
Okay.
they can't do anything unless someone's around.
Okay.
Otherwise, unless you guys are uncomfortable with the way I've been doing things, and Rabah has been doing them as well during the day for general stuff, we keep it that way.
Your documentation normally is the videos.
Yeah, it's been what do you call it, timestamp of a description of what's happening to give the story, initial incident report to Monica and Ty. And then she reviews it independently, adds to or coordinates with me on anything she finds that may be a discrepancy or me stuff and adds that. And that eventually becomes the body of the report, just the facts, ma'am, you know what I'm saying? And then you've got summary at the bottom, and that's the reports that you guys get. And Monica and I, and just still sorting out that workflow because it's new to her. So that's why some of them that are a little more complicated or information has come to light since they were first initiated, like the police report, and there's an address, stuff needs to get amended. So you're doing fine with that process, and so I just think the only thing that might change is a late night call might come to you.
Okay.
And then do you all want to look at having off-duty officers, or do you want to see how the trespass?
I think that's an idea if we have, like we said, a certain block of time. And I believe he said $65 an hour for minimum 3 hours. So it's $195. So say 200. So let's just say we did that, make up 5 times in a month in a concentrated time and period, because we know that's like the hot time to do.
Yeah.
That's something I'm completely open for. And then to say, because the community is asking for it. The community saying, oh, we don't like the scooters in the road, whatever. And we know it happens. School bus gets off at 2:30. We know by 3:30 there's 30 kids on scooters. I mean, personally, my personal opinion doesn't matter in it, but if that's what people want, whatever, yeah, maybe we should look to have it where we have it set up like we become Isles of Bayview is like a known with the Manatee Sheriff Office that we want that. We put someone, we get on the list, and then we, I would do that.
I agree with I agree with Ron. I mean, we can always try it for maybe a couple months. It's going to cost us a little bit of money, but it's needed. The community wants it, and trust me, if they take any actions in the first couple months, everything is going to be in order moving forward. So I'm open to it for to give it a shot, but not to have it for an open period of time.
Yeah, no, and I agree. I think we need to target the timeline. Like it was very clear that people said stuff's been happening on this playground every night since Thanksgiving. Like that's target.
It's with
at the bus stop time.
Yeah, with this specific kids, it's always the same kids, and it's always after school.
Right.
Well, I mean, if it's potentially some of the same people doing the same thing over and over, then why don't we try going a little bit with being able to trespass? Since now that's the one thing we've always had, has never been on the same page with the county, even though Chair's office and yours was like, well, yeah, your government, they should enforce it. But also he was saying for the traffic aspect of reach out to them to get them out here on the clock during those time frames and see whether that curbs some of that. Because you're talking when the school bus lets out, and then we're talking about 10 o'clock at night. Those are different time frames that you're almost going to be having somebody out here half a day. Or choosing the day and, 3 days of this, 2 days of that. So I think maybe we see what we get out of utilizing the free services that we're now learning of. Yes, we can trespass and we can have residents alert the traffic department specific to come out.
It's a good thought process. And the one thing I would add to it is, I talked about the dollars earlier, and we'd have to carve this out from someplace.
Yeah.
And you might want to consider that if there's still a problem, you might want to conserve those dollars, not so much for these sort of months, but more towards the summer. And by the summer, as we roll into that last quarter of the year, you're going to have a lot better look at how much extra dollars you have, that sort of thing. So it'll be a little bit easier for you as well.
Right. The one I'm not sure, we're not so clear from the gentleman who was here today, for whether or not these appeals to this traffic group at the Manatee County are taken more seriously or more, put some more oomph into deciding to do it based on the number of requests they get. And if so, every one of us could make a formal, as a board member, request to that Manatee County Traffic Association, whatever the heck it was. And then every resident is willing to do the same thing. And I'm sure you'll get, well, if I say I'm sure you'll get 20, that means you'll get 4. But at least you'll get some that will do it. And that's a concerted effort to get them to focus on the clock, like William said, which is great, which is perfect.
Yeah, that's, social media, for all of its good and bad. That's the good use of social media, is to encourage your residents to contact, because we have this sort of thing that comes up in every single community. There's speeding, there's, crime, there's this, there's that. And to be honest with you, most other governments, when they hear from a board, they say, great, thanks for telling us. But when they start hearing from a number of voters, it definitely makes a difference. That's why you see people show up at county commission meetings, all wearing the same color T-shirt and, all standing in line for their 2 minutes, because that type of stuff makes a huge difference.
So I've curtailed Facebook activity because of my life in this community and how it's been negative. But can I suggest that you do an email blast that says, when met with the sheriff deputy, he said, if residents have concerns, the best way to get traffic patrols on a regular basis is that residents call XYZ number, mention this and that, what times they see these problems, and then hopefully that and someone else who's willing to make a Facebook post about it, unofficial, could generate some interest in that.
We can definitely do that. That's not a problem.
Cool.
Oh yeah.
That's it. Thank you, Michelle. Appreciate it. All right. So just to note the time, it's 7:40.
Wait a second, please, Andy. Well,
Sure.
Michelle, where are we at with the Hathaway situation?
The records request, they received the records, right?
That's correct. Yeah. So they had they had modified the request. So we had compiled the records and sent off the cost information, which they paid, and then that was sent off today.
All right, perfect.
All right, before we let Michelle go though, so Michelle, I sent you an email last week summarizing the four questions that I had from prior emails that just seem to have fallen through the cracks. And, you responded that rather than answering my questions in that email, you'd be coming here tonight prepared to answer those. So since you had said you were done and didn't answer most of them, I'm gonna have to just bring them up.
Oh, sorry, I thought we addressed that with our plan in terms of the trespass.
All right, I'll go through the questions then.
You asked
So
about
question number
fine.
one about CDD/HOA coordination mechanism, originally raised on November 17th, followed up on November 17th, that evening with some additional information, followed up December 1st, and followed up December 4th. I asked you about coordinating with the HOA's attorney about cooperative efforts on enforcement. You had said that in an earlier message that you reached out to George, but you had not heard back from him. So I was just simply following up all those times to ask if you did eventually talk to him and where we stand on your intention to find out what kind of cooperative options we have and report back to us.
So I did reach out to George a few times. I have not connected with him. I don't know. I assume he's probably has been out on the holidays as well. So I'll continue to follow up with him, but I need him to engage.
All right. No, I mean,
I'm trying to get him to engage on it. I haven't
Early on,
quite gotten his attention yet.
I did reach out and he did say that he had been on vacation on a certain period of time. So I'll reach out to him as well and see if there's a reason why he's not getting back to you. Number two, a majority of number two was handled today. But the only other question that I had that went unanswered was whether future actions can be taken against the now identified party, the two teens, based on the police report. The address was in the police report. I sent you that police report as soon as I got it and mentioned that I now have the address of the teens from the 25th and the teens from the 26th. And is there a process or protocol by which if the woman who claimed she had a card, and it turned out she didn't, ever pursues or applies for one, that we can bring back these particular incident reports and use them either as a way of denying the card or providing the card with then an immediate suspension to get accountability for the 25th and the 26th incident.
Okay, so there are the two teams involved who have the address for the resident, and the resident is saying they don't have an access card.
No, once I finally got the address that the officers declined to provide, I was able to get it because it was in the police report. I looked at our Revo system. The house has no access card. So she misspoke when she said that she had a card and her niece was to use that from now on. She doesn't have a card.
Okay.
It doesn't exist. So my question to you is, as I just,
Do you want to suspend
well,
them?
we can't suspend them because they don't have an access card.
Well, you can suspend their right to use the facility.
That was my question to you.
I mean, you can
What
do that.
I was seeking advice.
Yeah, if you think it warrants a suspension and you don't think that they should be able to use the facilities for X period of time, that would mean that even though they don't have a card now, they wouldn't be able to apply for one during the term of that suspension. So we can absolutely send them a suspension notice.
Okay, so
Is that what the board wants to do?
Well, this is a little bit different than someone having access and then having it suspended. They don't have access. So we would say everything's 90 days, right? For the two previous ones. Is this just say 90 days or is this more? Because they never even had
no, I mean,
access in the beginning.
this gets suspended. And if they apply for access ever,
Right.
because in theory, they're not coming back because the person knew that she didn't have
Sure.
it. All right,
Sure.
right? She had to know she didn't have it when
Right.
she told them that she had it. That she just, it's not suspended because it's not even in Revo. So Andy, this is, what we're talking about.
Put it on the log that
You
they
put
can
it in
get
a
one.
log that you need to trigger something when something needs to trigger in your systems when a suspension is expired and it's time to turn it back on. Something needs to trigger in your notes when an address applies for a credential you look at something and it says, oh, that person was involved in 2 incidents, one involving police. So that we're not gonna give them that. We're gonna now,
Yeah, we can have the log and just cross-reference it. Makes sense.
all right, well, that one.
For how long though?
Are we,
Can they preemptively say, or is it they get on the log based on the board saying, hey, this person, even though they don't have access, is still barred for X amount of days?
right, yeah, I think you're gonna decide tonight if you want to preclude them from having access, however we want to use this terminology, either getting a card or using the card for the next
Okay.
whatever time period. And I will say also, since they don't have access and they don't have a card right now, they would be trespassed if they did try to.
Yeah, they will be, yeah, that's,
So
yeah.
are you saying 90 days?
So what I'm saying is, I guess, and I like that you're saying we can send her a violation notice, even though she didn't have a credential, and it's for the unauthorized entry on day 1, the unauthorized entry on day 2, and on day 2, allowing other occupants 3 different times. It's all in the timeline. And so that can be sent out. What you say, what that means, I guess I leave up to your advice of both of you. Because she hasn't applied for it.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you say, but I like the idea of getting it on record. And that was why I asked, and that's why those 2 reports got a little complicated with Monica, because when the address became known of both parties, including the Alexander party, I wanted to make sure those reports were separated into individual ones, where the 26 was originally lumped into one because the team party was unknown. You see what I'm saying? So she's now going to have 2 for this particular address, the 25th and the 26th.
Yeah, I mean, I think from my perspective, the notice, at least the phraseology of it is they're suspended for X amount of time. And, you know, we're looking at it. If they have a card, they don't have, doesn't matter. You're suspended for this amount of time. And that would be what you guys would determine, whether that's 90 days or whatever the case might be.
It's gotta be 90, to me, it's gotta be a minimum 90 days. I mean, yeah, 90 days. That's what we're talking. That's what we've decided we're doing right now.
So we would want a motion on that. That way, to William's point, the board is deciding preemptively that, you know, this is where we're at with this particular case.
Right. Okay, I'm motion to.
You have an address?
It's in the police report. They wouldn't give us the address.
Oh, I thought you had the.
You have it?
That's how we knew.
We do in several emails.
We do?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to make that part of the motion or no?
I have to look it up. I did. You want me to do that?
I think it would just help clarify the motion.
If you could, to help us clarify.
To Michelle Reiss. Search my.
Is it 8835 Windlass? Is that the one you're talking about?
Let me search 1835 and I'll know.
Because that's what I have for a November 25th.
Yeah, that's what I have
It's in
with
the
the,
spreadsheet. It's
yeah,
it's
with
in
the-
spreadsheet.
with the police report for 11/26. It's
Yeah,
the
thank you. Okay.
the 8835.
Let's make sure we're correct.
So we would be looking for a motion to suspend amenity center privileges for 8835 Windlass Cove and for whatever time period.
So moved. 90 days.
90 days. Got it. And we
Second.
have a second. Okay, any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. We'll get a letter out.
Okay, question number 3. I guess it was more or less answered by the police officer today. It doesn't sound like there's any additional charges that could be placed on the bike theft people regarding criminal mischief. Are there any? stormwater protection violations or anything like that. And what it is. That's it. That's stuff covered tonight. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, very good.
So we'll move into the manners report. Let me jump into the item B, which actually piggybacks off the attorney's report. We had additional security cameras, a proposal received. This should have been in a separate security section of the agenda. So my question is, since we don't have that specifically on the agenda, would we be able to do that towards the end of the meeting to hold that session?
No, we got the notice.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
and
You've already put the
yes.
picture in there with where the cameras are going, so it doesn't matter.
Well, we'll delay the discussion.
You know.
got it. Okay, item 6A is consideration of the Frontier Internet proposal. So you had this in your meeting package. This is something that I understand GMS was working on, but whatever reason it didn't get done at the time. So we restarted that conversation, got some information, which is in your package. Mr. Fisher was kind enough to provide some additional detail. He actually receives similar service, 2 gigabyte, and is actually getting it for a price that's less than what we're being offered in this plan. So the obvious thing is I can go back to our representatives that we've been talking to and point this out and see what they can do if the board is so inclined. In addition.
And Andy,
Yep.
if you don't mind me,
Go ahead.
because I have to talk. So this specific project, I worked on it myself and I get the quotes myself and we voted for it, all of us. And and the fun part we did at a certain meeting, we did receive a Frontier bill and it turns in now, all of a sudden, we still have Spectrum and we don't have Frontier. And then it's just funny how it is with certain people that act and toward board members when they defend and talk about the best of the community. And this is the kind of behavior you get from, I'm not saying just GMS, a lot of management company. So it just blows my mind. It's crazy. You spend time and we approved it and it turns in we don't have whatever we approved. This
So,
is
yes, and-
unbelievable.
This is, my email to you about this when we found out that we didn't have Frontier, I was like, my mind is blown. I was like, I swear to you, we voted on this. It's gotta be somewhere. I know we did. I know we were told it was installed. And so I'm not the only one. Apparently Rabah has the same recollection. So here we come to the fact that we don't have Frontier. And and already the price that we have, Andy, is cheaper than what we're paying for Spectrum. So I think that's great. So if people go back and get that, what you said matched, and remember those things that I mentioned in my email. Just we want to make sure that we can get the TVs on them. If there's like, I don't know if there's extra routers or I don't know. That's not my business, but just to make sure that TVs can be sort of hooked up to for streaming and YouTube or whatever they have.
Andy, see, so all we were talking about tonight right now, it's already been talked in a meeting and voted and approved.
Okay.
So this is news to me. It's just unbelievable. But anyway, this is another answer to whoever who was blaming board members for standing up for the community. And I like the way it is. It's showing like, hey, you're wrong and wrong and wrong. And I'm sure moving forward, they're going to find out that they are even more wrong. I'm enjoying it for the moment. Anyway.
Me too, my friend. Me too.
So
Do we need a motion because
Well,
there was one that was supposedly existed that already passed?
if you already approved moving to Frontier, then, I'll defer to Michelle, but I don't think you need another motion to that effect. Especially it's cheaper in either scenario. And, my walkaway will be to just contact them and, work them towards this price.
Okay.
Save a couple more dollars.
Thank you.
Is that okay?
Yeah. So they
Andy, just do me Andy, just do me a favor. I'm assuming it's going to be the same location of the modem and everything like that. We need to know exactly what they're doing, what they're installing, and so we won't have any kind of issues, you know?
Yeah, because I can't tell you how many times we've been trying to find the frontier modem to reset it when the internet's gone out and we couldn't find it.
I was like the first 3 days I was working with the district.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a meeting going on, as I recall.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, we'll do that. And to your question,
It's already
yes,
been
it's already was approved previously, but just the follow through wasn't great. So
And should we, so you go ahead and get that lower price and just proceed. You have no interest to proceed with the switch board.
I mean, I guess the only thing would be is, potentially they say for some reason they can't match the price. Would you want me to still move forward or?
I would, because it's better internet service. It's like the 5 gig service and it's cheaper than what we're paying now.
Okay.
We're not getting anything out of Spectrum right now except outages.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. So we'll go ahead and do that. And we'll try to do it quick and we'll get them to give us a fair amount of detail of when they're installing, how they're installing, and all those key questions. So
Thank you.
next item is consideration of audio video proposal for meeting recording upgrades. Exhibit 9 in your meeting package, if you had a chance to look at it, has some details related to that particular proposal project.
Exhibit 8.
Exhibit 9, I'm sorry.
So I worked with Bill Ying on this. He has expertise. He was using his own equipment to do this for the HOA already. He has an idea of the microphones that are needed, the kind of controls and wires to connect it all. The only variable is that we have a laptop that needs to be wiped and reset because there's no way to get in the password. It shows up as GMS's, when you open it up, it shows up as Brian from GMS, but Brian from GMS apparently doesn't know the password. So the only thing to do is wipe the laptop to even determine if it's powerful enough to just
Compatible enough.
store and do whatever, because it's a few several years old. So all I needed was the board to okay, and he thought it was best to have the board okay wiping that brick that they call laptop clean, so that we can have Bill, he volunteered to give it a rundown electronically and tell us if it's worth repurposing with this equipment.
Sure.
Or buying a new laptop. Now, the new laptop price is in that proposal. He had that price around Christmas time, so it was like special, so it's a few $100s more, but I think it's like around $1,000 for a new laptop. So that's like, I guess, a what do you call it? If we did like a not to exceed, if you're even interested in doing these things, then
What's the
less if you can reuse the laptop.
So what's the total for this proposal? For streaming solutions.
My thing is dead here, but I think it's like 2,000 or something.
Yeah, 2355.
And that's with the laptop.
That's correct. That's with the laptop.
Yeah, I think that's with the laptop.
So
Without
I
the
think,
laptop, it's
I mean, it's definitely a good idea. We always hear, even a lot of people don't show up. I mean, a lot of people, not even in Zoom, whatever call, but it doesn't hurt to have it. And, since we have a computer, it's going to cost us definitely cheaper to wipe up the computer. So we can go that route first. And if it doesn't work, we can look to a different option, which I don't think it won't work. It definitely won't work. I mean, it's just an audio system. Yeah. And also,
I'm sorry, Rabah. Are we also using this to record the meeting? Like,
yes,
So,
that's my
looking
thing.
into whether we can host it live using some kind of platform. Well, was that platform pay platform, or is it just using YouTube Live? Or are we able to do that as a government agency and so on and so forth? He's looking into that. Whether it can, if it can't be live, and that Bill said that further complicates things. But okay, so let's say it's not live and it's just recorded and uploaded to a YouTube channel, like any.
or our website or whatever.
And people can go and just see the playlist of various months' meetings and watch them. I mean, for free, because YouTube, you can just.
Yeah.
We had talked with your web hosting company. So, as you can imagine, they can take any link. So it really does come down to placing it on YouTube or something like that, and then making sure that that meets the ADA compliance that you're required to have for anything that you provide to your residents to the website.
Like closed captions and whatnot. So by the time we get the equipment and all ready to record a meeting, we'll be recording and saving it. It doesn't have to be that same week that we've got all the solutions in place for posting it.
So just to be clear, this quote came from Bill?
Yeah, they'll put it together, includes recommended three microphones, but it's expandable to 4 or something, or 2 and go to 4, or we can go to 4, I don't know, but it's capable of doing so. So one at this end of the table, one in the middle, one at that end of the table, and then an audience mic. It could be on a boom where they step up to the mic and actually speak, or it's Bluetooth and pass it around when someone makes their comment.
We just need a motion for it?
Yep, just looking for a motion if anybody is interested in moving forward.
I'll make a motion for it.
Okay, and do we have,
Because I'm interested.
we have a motion and a second. Now, any additional discussion?
I'll just say my concern for having overly detailed minutes in the past was because the audio recordings are, unintelligible, whatever the term is. Okay, and so I wanted to make sure certain things that occurred and said we're able to see. If we have good audio and video, then the minutes, I don't care if they have anything but motions on them anymore.
If there's no additional discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously. Couple other quick things, non-agenda items, just more or less updates. So I talked about your mitigation thing. I'll talk to the engineer about that. We talked about.
And if you don't mind me, since we're talking about engineering, I'm really sorry. Did we get anyone to unclog those drains? I emailed Gary last time. I don't know if we get anything.
So
Unclog the drain?
he was talking about the drains.
No, that there,
We're waiting for the specs, I think, from the engineer on that.
well, I need to find out where the locations are and what exactly are you looking
They're
for.
already flagged for you, Gary. Both of them are flagged for you.
I could show you where they are.
Are there just locations that you can give me?
Well, they're on the map that
Yeah.
we have, they've been identified. as
The
well.
landscaper put a flag also. They flagged them for you.
Okay. That's fine. Yeah, we'll be in the process of getting estimates for that next week.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. The other item I had, you may or may not be aware, there is, the pool is not heating properly. So I had your pool company come out and they looked at it. There are 2 of the heaters that are not operating correctly. They did not want to go any further with it in order to not void any warranty. So they were reaching out to the manufacturer and scheduling them to come out and take a look at it before any additional steps were taken. So it's okay with the board. I was going to send a blast out to the community that at least let them know, because I have taken a couple of, that's what prompted me to call the pool company. I took a couple calls recently about the temperatures. So,
Sure.
we'll
Yeah,
send
feel
that
free to
out.
do that.
Okay, I'll send that out in the next 24 hours. Those were we talked about all the other stuff. So that would move us into the.
Did the pool company, speaking of the pool company, what did they say to you about the filter equipment operation at the front fountain and all the filthiness in there? In fact, it doesn't appear that it's actually running.
I don't think they told me anything about that.
I asked you to discuss it with them. When I was out there doing decorations on Christmas, I sent you an email.
Yeah, I apologize.
About what appears to be equipment not actually doing anything. The algae was all over the signs and on the water, and it probably needs to be power washed and find out what's going on with the equipment.
Okay. I'll follow up with them on that.
Okay. And we're on field still, right?
We're in the manager's report, but certainly bring up.
2 other things.
Yeah, sure.
Did you add the leaking bathroom ceiling, women's room to the the overall project list.
It should be on there. Yeah, because we had talked about that one.
And then just as of the last couple of days, I didn't get a chance to send you an email, so I can send it now. You'll see it on the way out. The front entrance sign, lights, and all the lights down Barrier Coast to our Moonsail intersection are out.
Oh.
Only the lights on the fountain, which must be on a different thing, are going.
Yeah, when you leave and you'll see the water has the lights in it, but there's two on each side that shine actually at the sign.
Okay.
They don't work.
And
then
as well as the ones going down.
The lights that light up the trees are all out. So hopefully it's just one switch somewhere, but I don't know where that is.
Yeah, maybe it's just something flipped.
Since we're
Okay.
talking about that, every single spotlight, they have a green flag on it. It's not working. So I did walk a night before they went out completely, like the guys were saying. A couple of them, they're like, burned out. So I flagged them with a green flag. So you guys, whoever who's going to send to restart the switch, make sure he's going to replace those bed spotlights as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Easy enough. Sure. So that would take us to our approval of the meeting minutes, which were from December 4th of 2025. I'll ask first if there is a motion to approve those meeting minutes.
Do you want to make changes after we motion?
Yeah, well, I was going to get a motion in a second, and then in the comments, we can take any changes. If anybody wants to make a motion.
No motion.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded, and now discussion, comments, changes, edits.
Line 63
Mm-hmm.
matches line 58.
Okay,
It looks like it was just cut and pasted.
just a repeat.
So
Got it.
it should match approving the invoice for 2178 instead of repeating
Okay,
2760.
got it. Any other edits to the minutes?
Down here.
Okay. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, those are approved as amended. So we'll move into item 7, which is financial reports. And you have the 2 reports there, the October 2025 financials, and then of course the November 2025 financials. And we'll take them individually if we could. So first, I'll ask if there's a motion to approve the October 2025 financials.
Andy, just a second, if you don't mind. Just making sure that the invoice we talked about, LMP for the month of June, they didn't get for the first week of month of June. They didn't get paid for it, as I told you, because they didn't do any work. I'm just confirming that.
Yeah, and we reached out to them as well to let them know that they wouldn't be paid for that.
Perfect.
And they were okay with it. So,
Yeah.
Martin, you sent me 2 invoices from our prior attorney.
Yeah.
Well, they weren't 2 invoices. You
they,
got
one
me
was
two
one was a statement and one was an invoice.
And so just so it's known, I can't review them until you respond to me and give me the second invoice.
Yeah, we've got it. So yeah.
And I had a lot of questions on it.
Yeah.
Because they had time on there for writing their resignation letter to us. And then I had time on there for time. They had time on, guys, I forget about this, but I'm glad I thought about it now. They had time on there. The week that they resigned, how they came in, and obviously it was very clear that GMS and Kutak Rock were coming in to co-resign. But it wasn't Kutak Rock's intention to do so until GMS spilled the beans that they were both. It was a very uncomfortable moment. So that week, in preparation for that meeting, Kutak Rock had like 2.5 hours of meeting preparation and discussion on agenda items, and no other invoices that they had in prior
Yeah, because they were talking to
that level to prepare for a meeting. And I raised my concerns to you on that one, Andy, with all my comments on that PDF. And then, like I said, I couldn't give you comments on the second PDF because The second invoice wasn't in there.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much they're clamoring, to get this paid, but just so you know, I did as much as I could to give you comments, concerns on what I got.
So just to give some additional context, so we received basically 3 batches of invoice from previous vendors for the district, obviously LMP, as well Kutak, and also one from Prince and Sons. So none of them were clamoring. These were just
Okay.
invoices that were handed over, basically.
Okay.
So just to let you know, but we'll get
Yeah,
the
no, I mean,
additional detail.
Like, nobody rushes to get my stuff answered. So I'm in no rush to answer their invoice. I'm
Understand?
just saying I want to know that I gave you everything I could as quickly as I could.
Yep.
Regarding that invoice that you asked me about.
No, absolutely. We'll get the additional detail for you. Okay.
I have a question for
Sure.
Michelle, just because it's your expertise as the attorney. Is that unheard of to charge us for a resignation letter? I mean, it's like if they read a contract to close it out. I mean, it's a little jab and pokey if you ask me, but I don't think. Yeah, okay.
There are things that I don't charge for that I see people charge.
Yeah,
So
I just wanted to ask.
I don't know.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
You're certainly, I'm not surprised to hear your question.
All right. So we're still just looking for a motion specifically for the October 2025 financials.
I motioned that.
We have-
Okay. Second, Mark.
So we have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next was, as mentioned, the November 2025 financials. So as with the previous, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Aye.
I'll second.
All right.
All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries unanimously. Now we'll move into supervisory requests and general audience comments. Go to the table and see if there's any additional supervisory requests this evening first.
I don't have any, but I want to thank Michelle for getting an officer here. That was super productive. And we'll follow up on the things I told her I was going to call him about. But I'm happy with that. Very, very happy with that information.
Cool.
So I do have one question, kind of touching on that to Michelle. So when we actually trespass somebody, we're not engaging, we're not saying anything to anybody. But when the officer comes, are they going to say, hey, you're being trespassed, or do we have to say it?
No, they'll say it.
Okay.
They're just giving them the authority to do it,
Okay,
and they're acting on your statement. So if the person were to come back and say that was wrong, you shouldn't have trespassed me, I had a right to be there, their claim would be against you guys and not against the officer. The officer should say, "I'm
Sure.
acting."
gotcha. So is there a best practice or a checklist of things that we should think of to document for an incident like that?
I would just document, what would cause you to call for the trespass.
Okay.
Is it, if it was an owner that contacted you, or if it was you that initiated the contact to the officer? Was it that they, had their rights suspended and they were entering the property anyway? Is it that they're not a resident in the community? Or is it that they came in and they were causing some sort of disturbance that was potential to harm themselves, somebody else, the property, and you said you must leave because we're immediately suspending you because you're causing some sort of danger. If they don't leave, then you call law enforcement. So you have to have some reason to say, you should document why they were not allowed to remain on the premises.
Okay.
Now, here's an interesting thing, and what we won't do or haven't done in the past. Let's say you hear someone tells you that there's something crazy going on here, not necessarily criminal, but so we don't go to that person and say, you have to leave, you're violating rules. That's been made very clear. We don't do that and then call the police and say they've been violated. We don't approach the person who is creating some kind of a ruckus and tell them they have to leave. What we do is we check the cameras to find out if they came in with a card. If they do, then we've got it. We're good. They have valid access, but they're committing some violations. So it's not criminal. You're not, I mean, I'm not calling the police and saying they are right now performing a violation that would get them suspended, so I want them trespassed. That one didn't even come across my radar. As long as I know I got them on the hook from the car,
Sure.
then we document it. And, but if it's criminal, breaking glass, something like that, then sure, I would call the police and say, yeah, they came in appropriately, but now they're trashing the place.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? A
Yeah.
little distinction.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily trust it. It's not right for doing a violation before it's come before the board.
Right.
Okay.
Sometimes, yeah, they're just like, if they have too many guests or something like that, we're gonna send them a violation.
Yeah, right. You have, okay.
Yeah.
How many guests are you allowed?
Four.
I wasn't none.
Yeah, and then you have to register your, the others.
See, I didn't even know.
Yeah, and I don't think you can go fast.
Yeah, but I didn't know there was a limit on how many guests you had.
And then there's a difference between household and yeah.
And to be clear, your guys' safety is critical. So if you see something happening, if you think it's something where you can go and say something and calm down the situation, that's okay. But if there's any potential of risk to you, don't do that. Call law enforcement, let Andy know, let us do a suspension letter. Because you don't know how people are going to react if you approach them, even with simple things like, I don't know what it could be, but their music is too loud or something like that. You could just go over, hey, kindly, could you turn that down? Sure. And they could freak out and want that to happen. So nobody is asking you to do that. That is not your job. And be very cautious about approaching. I mean, typically you'd want to have, on-site staff that would be the ones that would handle stuff like that, but you don't really have the volume. Just be fair.
Any other supervisory requests at this time?
So I just want to say a little something. So just so you guys know, it's 2:16 a.m. in my local time right now. I'm up all night for this meeting. But anyway, yeah. One thing I want to talk about, it and I want to ask your opinion. I mean, I don't need to ask, but clearly, do any one of you in the room who hears me now or have any concerns about the landscaping? Which I think it's no, because we all see the improvement and the quality of work is taking a little time. Unfortunately, we have a lot of damage that was inherited from the turnover, which always a big question to me. What was done during the turnover? But here you go, we are stuck with it now, and we're fixing it little by little, and then definitely the community is getting better and better slowly. But if any one of you have any concerns about landscaping, let me know right now. Nothing? All right.
No, I don't think so.
Hey,
Perfect.
Rabah, all I would say is I think you're doing a great job. I think the landscaper's doing a great job. I think over the last few months since the resignation and the turnover, it's become clear to more and more people that what we had and what we got was a raw deal, and asking for and expecting accountability on behalf of our vendors is in our community's best interest. And now we're getting that, and things are improving.
That's exactly my point.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we'll move to general audience comments. We'll go through the room first and then to the Teams call.
Again, is that set in stone for guests?
Can you state your name for the?
I'm Lynn Dean. I live at 8709 Windlass Cove.
Thanks, Lynn.
Okay, I have 3 grandkids and their parents coming down. That's 5. Okay. How do I tell one of the parents?
Well, you don't tell them. Isn't it they just have,
That,
no. If I'm not mistaken, you just have to register them as a guest.
I don't believe so. I don't believe we have that provision.
I would have to look. I don't know if verbatim.
But here's the issue. Yeah, I completely understand you. Full stop. The issue is that a couple weeks ago, we had a hearing here because the person had 30 guests.
Holy cow.
And it was 395 homes. And if on a beautiful weekend, they all decide to have 10 guests, then we have, do my math, 4 million people here. You know what I mean? So that's why it can't be that amount. that's the unfortunate situation. But that said, and this is, we've said this before as a group, and I try to make it clear to people, even though people think I spend my day looking at cameras for violations, I actually have a real job and it's a very demanding one. I don't spend any time looking at cameras unless an issue comes to my awareness. And those issues are usually because someone else's experience here is being woefully disturbed by someone else's behavior. And so I'm not saying it is right for you to bring your 5 grandchildren or your whatever, in terms of the rules. But I'm saying that, just like we said during one of the Christmas, the Super Bowl party conversations with our lawyer and everything, like we're not going, it's not our job to go stick your tumbler and see what's in it. It's your job to be responsible for the rules. And if something happens where it becomes to light that you've done that, then, you know, it would be a violation, and you've seen kind of how that process works.
Now, this violation, I don't know, 30 days for the first violation, and if you don't respond, then it becomes the 90.
So the idea is this board needs to meet in the public to make decisions. So depending on when a violation occurs and when the person that created that violation is notified, basically they're invited to the next meeting to speak to the board to kind of state their case. So instantly the privileges are suspended. So if somebody had violated something exactly 30 days before a meeting, in that scenario, yeah, it would be 30 days. If somebody did something 5 days before the meeting and we were able to get them a letter and they come out to the meeting, then potentially if the board said, okay, you know, we forgive you, then it would be a 5-day suspension. So you see, it kind of depends on when it happens, when the person is notified, and when the next meeting where the board can sit and talk to the person is.
I got one more. The scooters. Did you guys talk about the scooters before?
Riding around here and riding on the streets was 2 different discussions.
Yeah.
You're talking about the streets, they're like,
I don't know what it looks like. And I know, you know, I look at, if I was a kid and had that scooter when we were kids, we'd be riding the same scooter, okay? And I just wish somebody would take them aside, whether it be the cop, and have a meeting with them and say, let's respect the motor vehicles. You know, that's somebody's gonna get hit. I see him ride by my house all day. Okay, so I don't know what the answer is. I don't want to see him get hit, and I don't want to say, well, you can't get out of your driveway with your scooter either, because I know when we were kids, if we'd had those things, we'd have been all. I see adults on them too. So you know, I don't know if there's. And then I know if you go down to the one family, you better put earplugs in because you're going to hear some words that are unbelievable.
Fair enough.
So,
But I mean, we're gonna have an email blast sent out with how residents can alert the sheriff's department. They have a traffic unit that can start coming out at time, like when they get out of school and certain times like that, and start, you know, pulling the kids over and saying, hey, you've got to, these are the rules for riding. You can't be on the street.
that's all I wish somebody would do, so it's before somebody gets hit.
Fair enough. Thank you, Lynn.
and before I forget, I'm
Yep.
sorry, some things remind me, did we close the loop on the one person whose violation letter and invitation to come here was just sent 2 days ago? I don't think we did.
I thought we talked about bringing them to the next meeting.
Okay.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
you're gonna send them a new letter, giving them the opportunity to come to the next meeting?
Well, we could give
Because they
them,
were given a letter to come today,
They
we
come
can't arrive until tomorrow.
yeah. So yeah, we can issue out a new letter. That's not a problem at all.
Okay.
And it'll give them ample time.
I just don't know.
Yeah, let me take that down as well. Makes sense. Other audience comments as I work my way back? All right. There's no other audience comments, then we're just looking. Oh, correct. Good catch. We do have audience member on the Teams call. I apologize. Do we have any questions from the Teams call? Okay. Hearing none. If anybody is interested in making a motion to adjourn. All right. Do we have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, meeting is adjourned.
Thanks, Rabah.
Aye, gentlemen, have a good
Night.
night.
Here, we have.
Oh, you mean here.
Forward to,
Yes.
Oh.
So close.
They are fire towers, not my choice.
I was like,
If you shut it, it'll shut down.
Yeah,
I was like, this ain't like fucking Apple. I was like, I can't swipe to clear it.
it's absolutely terrible. Because just the other day, I was like, download a program to it. It's like, and you can't.
Yeah.
Like they run around and everything except for, that Amazon silk browser, which is
But you also, I mean, that's even that nowadays, like Microsoft. Their shit's all subscription based. Adobe, like if you're not getting paying them monthly now, it's like, dude, it used to be $50 for the whole year. Now I gotta buy it.
everybody wants $1 a month. And Zach, like, well, have a good night. Good seeing you.
Yeah.
And with your ones.
Kevin, I have,
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just saying, if you, that's a great idea. They're there.
Yeah.
You go
Thank you.
up to Ruskin and you go.
yeah.
I do.
Yeah, I scanned them all.
Great, thank you. Because we used to have. So. This from here, but you have an opportunity. People are very like. So I don't. Again, are you?
My family.
Oh, thank you.